Chapter 1. 3000 Great Worlds. Taboo Sect. My direct disciple Chu Luo broke into the forbidden area of the sect without permission. According to the sect's rules, he should be expelled from the sect. In the vast palace, a thin young man was kneeling in the main hall. The young man is not handsome, but it is a very attractive type. His name is Chu Luo, and he is also a member of many transmigrate armies. Above the main hall, several senior elders of the forbidden sect were sitting. One of them, a white-haired old man, had cold eyes. Waves of thick and terrifying coercion spread out from the old man, making the entire hall seem oppressive. He is the second elder of the Taboo Sect, Zhao Sheng. The outside world respects him as the ancient sage of Lingqing. But the second elder, Zhao Sheng, was very unhappy with Chu Luo. Obviously that voice came from him. Yes, expel this demon king from the sect. Support the second elder. Yes, this scourge should have been driven out long ago. Hee. This demon king usually brings trouble to us, but this time he actually broke into the sect's forbidden area without permission, and even Elder Crow couldn't save him. Isn't that right? Even elders who trespass on the sect's restricted areas will be severely punished. Behind Chu Luo, a group of core disciples are all like resentful women. It seemed as if he wished that Chu Luo would be expelled from the sect as soon as possible. Chu Luo turned around and rolled his eyes at the core disciples. Then he faced the leader above, a middle-aged man with extraordinary temperament, showing an aggrieved face and said, "Sect Master, this disciple didn't intentionally break into the sect's forbidden area. He was practicing a secret escape technique recently. He didn't grasp the direction well and accidentally teleported into the forbidden area. Please ask the sect leader for a clear warning." This middle-aged man named the leader is the leader of the Taboo Sect. Lin Feng. This second elder, Chu Luo, is the only direct disciple of Elder Crow after all. Elder Yin Crow retreats and expels Chu Luo from the sect. We should wait until Elder Yin Crow comes out of seclusion before discussing. Lin Feng frowned slightly and felt a headache when he thought of the third Elder Crow's temper. If Elder Yin Crow comes out of seclusion, he learns that his precious disciple has been expelled from the sect. Isn't that a big deal? Several other elders also nodded secretly. Snort. Sect Master, this sect rule was set by the ancestors. Even if the old ghost crow is here, he can't change it. The second elder, Zhao Sheng, snorted coldly and said coldly. Today, he is determined to drive Chu Luo, the scourge, out of the Taboo Sect. I'm talking about the second elder. Isn't it because I visited your medicine field a few days ago and picked up a few old elixir plants? Why do you hold a grudge against me like this? Chu Luo couldn't bear it anymore. He spread his hands and shrugged. This old guy is too stingy and vindictive. Shut up. How dare you talk back? Sect Master, drive this scourge out of the sect now. When Chu Luo mentioned his medicinal field, he instantly became furious. I worked hard and narrowly escaped death to pick up the elixir from the Jedi. What was planted yesterday was plucked out by this BD today. Which old man wants to drive my good disciple away? Boom. At this time, a thick voice resounded throughout the vast forbidden sect. The expressions of Lin Feng, Zhao Sheng, and several elders present changed instantly. He immediately stood up from his seat, and everyone's face was filled with horror. Because that familiar voice just now was filled with a sense of godless power. Master. When Chu Luo heard this familiar voice, she felt completely relaxed and the corners of her mouth raised slightly. After he transmigrated over, his parents died, and he happened to meet his master who was traveling in the lower world. After Chu Luo's master took him back to the forbidden sect, he has been in seclusion. Until now, Chu Luo had not seen his master for more than 10 years. Boom boom boom. At this time, the heaven and earth changed greatly, the mountains and rivers shook, and all kinds of strange phenomena appeared in the void of the entire 3000 realms. Countless forces in the 3000 realms were all alarmed. Hiss, all kinds of strange things, a new great emperor has been born. Oh my god, which force gave birth to the great emperor again? That direction, seems to be the Taboo Sect, one of the top sects. Hiss. For a time, countless old monsters in seclusion came out one after another, staring in the direction of the forbidden sect, their eyes full of fear and horror. And hundreds of miles away from the forbidden sect, an old man wearing a mysterious robe also stared in the direction of the forbidden sect with a horrified face. Next to the old man, stood a black-haired boy. The young man narrowed his eyes slightly and said, Master, are you still going to the Forbidden Sect? The old man retracted his gaze, his face was slightly gloomy, a strange color flashed in his eyes, he nodded and said, go for it. Aren't you going to challenge the direct disciples of the Forbidden Sect? I heard that the Forbidden Sect will start the selection of sequence disciples soon. It's time for you to try their skills. By the way, let's go and see which old guy has been promoted to Great Emperor. After the words fell, the old man waved his sleeves. A strong force swept up the boy beside him and disappeared, at the same time. The visions in the sky above the Forbidden Sect were cleared away by a terrifying force. In the main hall, a majestic figure quietly appeared. It was an old man who appeared. Both the disciples present and the elders sitting above could not help but change their expressions. The old man who appeared in the main hall was Chu Luo's master. The third elder of the Forbidden Sect, Dark Crow. The outside world respects him as the ancient sage of Crow. At this moment, Yin Crow's aura was restrained, his eyes fell on Chu Luo, his brows furrowed, and he became furious instantly. Although he has not seen his good disciple for many years. But Chu Luo was recognized at a glance. Third elder, have you taken that step? Sect leader Lin Feng reacted, his eyes filled with excitement. Zhao Sheng, who was beside him, stared at Elder Crow as if he had seen a ghost. His face was full of disbelief, as well as a hint of envy and jealousy. Dark Crow had no time to pay attention to Lin Feng. Came to Chu Luo. Chu Luo immediately showed an aggrieved look. Master! Before Chu Luo could complain, Yin Crow grabbed Chu Luo's hand and said furiously, my dear disciple, why do you only have 2.5 years left to live? Who harmed you? Tell me, Master, I will not only destroy him, but I will also tear up his ancestral grave. His grandma. What? Dark Crow's words made Lin Feng and all the elders present slightly change their expressions, and their thoughts fell on Chu Luo. I discovered that Chu Luo's longevity really only had 2.5 years left. They, a group of ancient saints, had previously focused on Chu Luo's trespassing into the sect's restricted area. Chu Luo waved her hand, immediately leaned into Dark Crow's ear, and whispered, Master, no one is harming me. I have been bored these past few years, so I have practiced all the 1,000 taboo secrets of our taboo section. It's our sect's forbidden secret skill, it's too life-consuming. The Dark Crow was stunned and looked at Chu Luo and said without a voice, I'll be a good boy. My dear disciple, have you really learned all the 1,000 taboo moves? Chu Luo spread his hands and nodded. Dark Crow pulled Chu Luo to the corner and secretly transmitted the message, my dear disciple, I have to ask you a favor. Master, please speak. My good disciple, you participate in the sect's sequential selection. It's best to become the number 0 disciple of the sect and become the young master of the Forbidden Sect. Chu Luo, well, let's wait until I can stay and not be kicked out by the section. After all, the disciple violated the sect rules. The crow immediately turned around with a sneer on his face. His eyes fell on Lin Feng and a group of senior elders, and he pulled Chu Luo behind him and sneered, hee hee. My good disciple, I have a master here, let's see who dares to drive you away today. My good disciple, retreat behind my master and watch as my master fights with all the scholars for you. Ding! Get calf protection value plus 10,000. The crow's voice had just finished. In Chu Luo's mind, a system prompt suddenly sounded, PS, Cultivation Realms, Spirit Refining Realm, Spirit Building Realm, Spirit Ascension Realm, Spirit Sea Realm, Taegzu Realm, Return to Ruins Realm, Beginningless Realm, Divine Soul Realm, Absolute Beginning Realm, Nirvana Realm, Summit Realm, Ultimate Creation Realm, Transcendent Realm, Immortal Transformation Realm, Saint Realm, Ancient Saint Realm, Great Emperor Realm. Each realm is separated by 6 small realms. Chapter 2. Chu Luo was stunned, looking at his master's majestic back, he seemed to have discovered a new continent. A smile appeared on his lips. Since he transmigrated over, he has awakened the calf-protecting subsystem. After awakening the calf-protecting subsystem, Chu Luo received a newbie gift package rewarded by the system. From the gift package for newcomers, Chu Luo's understanding was infinitely improved. At this point, his understanding was terrifyingly strong. Any martial arts technique can be easily mastered with just one glance. Only after the comprehension points are full. After Chu Luo's research, this Tongzi needs someone to stand up for him in order to gain the value of calf protection. There is a mall in the system, which contains various heaven-defying elixirs, martial arts skills, emperor weapon, and various divine bodies that make countless people crazy. It's just that these need to be purchased with calf protection value. Moreover, the calf protection value can also be used to directly improve the realm. Therefore, Chu Luo was brought to the Forbidden Sect by his master. He committed suicide in various ways, trying to get his master, who was not very reliable, to come out and stand up for himself, thereby gaining calf protection value. However, as soon as his master came back, he immediately shut himself up. Because of Chu Luo's various tricks in the sect, he became a scourge within the sect, and everyone wanted to beat him up. He realized that no one would stand up for him in all his attempts to commit suicide. In desperation, Chu Luo couldn't get the value of protecting the calf. He had no choice but to concentrate on his cultivation. Before going into seclusion, Dark Crow secretly left him 1,000 forbidden secrets of the Forbidden Sect. Chu Luo, who had full comprehension points, learned all the 1,000 taboo secrets of the Taboo Sect in just 2.5 years. He is terrifyingly strong now. It's just that these taboo skills are all relatively life-consuming. Every time you cast it, you have to pay the price of consuming lifespan. So far, except for Chu Luo, no one in the Taboo Sect can master all the taboo secrets. He, Chu Luo, now has a forbidden move. Boom! A vast billowing imperial power spread out from the Dark Crow, filling the entire hall. The core disciples at the scene fell to their knees. Under this imperial power, except for the sect leader Lin Feng, the other elders all bent down and tried their best to mobilize the strength in their bodies to resist. Especially Zhao Sheng was directly forced to kneel on the ground by this rolling imperial power in front of so many disciples. Don't give him any face at all. Great Emperor! Really? Lin Feng and several other elders looked horrified. Elder Crow has indeed broken through the Great Emperor. Their Taboo Sect has added another Supreme Great Emperor. Countless core disciples kneeling on the ground looked at Chu Luo with envy on their faces. A direct disciple of the Great Emperor. I feel envious just thinking about it. It seems that we can no longer cause this trouble. Chu Luo was also pulled back from his daze by the imperial power of his master. Chu Luo's eyes were filled with stars. He didn't expect that his unreliable master would actually become the Great Emperor. No wonder I just got 10,000 calf protection points. Hey! From now on, I will have to use all my strength to catch my master and protect him. Hey! Old Ghost Zhao, it was you, the old BD, who said you wanted to drive my good disciple away just now, right? Dark Crow walked up the steps and came to Zhao Sheng with a joking look on his face. As we all know, the second elder and the third elder do not deal with each other on weekdays. Often argue with each other on a daily basis. But what Zhao Sheng never expected was the old BD Dark Crow actually broke through the Great Emperor one step ahead of him. Zhao Sheng felt worse than losing money. Sect leader Lin Feng smiled bitterly and reluctantly advised, Third elder, you'd better put away your pressure first. Otherwise these disciples will not be able to withstand your pressure. Lin Feng knew that the Dark Crow elder also took into account the face of his sect leader and restrained his imperial power. Otherwise, everyone present will have to kneel down. Including him, the pinnacle ancient saint. Hey! Yes, sect master, please report back. I was so excited just now. The Dark Crow elder laughed strangely and slowly restrained the pressure on himself. Everyone suddenly felt relaxed. Elder Dark Crow's expression changed. He pointed at Zhao Sheng who had just stood up and cursed angrily, Old BD, what are you asking for? Didn't my good disciple just enter the sect's forbidden area by mistake? He didn't intentionally break into the forbidden area. You old BD, are you jealous of my good disciple's talent and deliberately making things difficult for him? You old thing, when you walk at night, you'd better be careful for me. It's best to turn a blind eye and stand guard when you sleep at night, otherwise, hee. All the disciples in the audience, including Chu Luo, were dumbfounded. However, Chu Luo felt happy when she saw Zhao Sheng being kissed in the face by her master. I thought that my master, who had not seen him for more than 10 years, was finally reliable. You are vulgar. Old Ghost Crow, don't think that I'm afraid of you now that you have become the Great Emperor. The rules were set by the ancestors. Even if you are the Great Emperor now, you cannot change them. Zhao Sheng was extremely angry. This old guy actually embarrassed him in front of so many disciples. He doesn't want to lose face. If he is timid and doesn't toughen up, how can he hang out in front of these disciples in the future? Oops! You are an old thing who will never die or change for thousands of years. It looks like you are still not convinced, right? What this emperor is best at is convincing people with virtue. Let's start arguing again. The Dark Crow elder tied up his sleeves and looked like he was ready to fight. You! Zhao Sheng was suddenly speechless, his momentum suddenly plummeted, and he lost his confidence. When he was in the same realm as Elder Crow, he was no match for him. Now the other party is a genuine great emperor. Let alone him. Metropolitan. Look at him. Zhao Sheng was so angry that he couldn't even scold or hit him. He felt extremely aggrieved. Several senior elders on the side did not dare to speak. Crow. Lin Feng. Chu Luo. A group of disciples. Lin Feng smacked his lips and thought for a while, cough. That elder Zhao, as Chu Luo just said, he was practicing a secret escape technique and accidentally entered a forbidden area. It's not intentional, just forget it. What do the other elders think? Lin Feng looked at the other elders. Several other elders noticed the gaze of Elder Dark Crow and nodded like chickens pecking at rice. Agreed with Lin Feng's decision. Metropolitan. Ancestor once said that no one can violate this rule. In that case, I'd better ask the ancestors for instructions. Zhao Sheng was immediately dissatisfied and determined to drive Chu Luo out of the Taboo Sect. Today is the best excuse. He must drive away this little scourge. Otherwise, with the old BD Dark Crow as his backer, his medicine field may continue to be harmed in the future. Your grandma has legs. FK you old thing. I will beat you to death today. The Dark Crow saw that Zhao Sheng was still biting his good disciple. Immediately he became angry and punched Zhao Sheng. Zhao Sheng was directly knocked away, and when he got up, all the disciples saw a dark circle on Zhao Sheng's face. Speaking of which, the Dark Crow was merciful because they were both elders. Otherwise, this punch could directly kill Zhao Sheng on the spot. Third elder, calm down. Several other elders immediately stepped forward and grabbed Dark Crow and Zhao Sheng. Oh, you! Crow, you BD! You dare to hit me! Even if you invite the ancestor today, that kid will have to get out of the section. Zhao Sheng, who was being pulled by the two elders, began to curse. He did not care at all that Dark Crow was a great emperor, nor did he care about his own identity. The scene was in chaos, and there was no way he could look like a top sect leader. This scene gave the disciples the feeling that it was like a group of old men cursing at a shrew. The disciples at the scene directly became the melon eaters. If there are outsiders present, they will definitely laugh out loud. Who would have thought that the Forbidden Sect, one of the top forces, would be like this among the senior elders? Lin Feng was extremely speechless. He, the sect leader, is really tired. Then with a wave of his hand, a force enveloped the scene and isolated the disciples. All right. How to punish Chu Luo? This sect leader will ask the ancestor for instructions now. Lin Feng said. Hearing this, Zhao Sheng showed a proud look on his face, as long as he could drive Chu Luo away. It was worth the punch I received. Before Dark Crow could reply, Lin Feng disappeared from the spot. Snort. If those old guys are also stubborn, then I will personally enter the forbidden area and chat with them. You old BD, you'd better pray that my good disciple is okay, otherwise, hee. I will try my best to get your precious disciple out of the sect. Dark Crow snorted coldly and said it didn't matter. My disciple is well behaved and sensible, and he is also a monster on the list of geniuses. How can he be compared to your stubborn disciple? If you dare to frame my disciple, my ancestor will not let you go. Zhao Sheng was furious when he saw Dark Crow threatening his apprentice. The elders who pulled the two of them all smiled bitterly. How come there are two strange elders in their sect, Zhao Sheng and Dark Crow? Soon, Lin Feng, who had left, appeared in the main hall. Chapter 3. Lin Feng removed the barrier. Chu Luo and all the disciples looked at Lin Feng. Two elders, according to the wishes of our ancestors, Chu Luo indeed broke into the forbidden area unintentionally. Therefore, Chu Luo did not break the sect rules intentionally. Please forgive Chu Luo for his unintentional act this time. In addition, according to the wishes of the ancestors, third elder, you are now the great emperor of my forbidden sect and can be promoted to ancestor. Are you willing to enter the forbidden area? Lin Feng smiled slightly and smiled at the crow. Hearing this, Zhao Sheng instantly became listless like a deflated rubber ball. The ancestor has spoken. He wants to drive away this little scourge, but it is destined to be impossible. An old scourge, plus a small scourge, he will have to pay more attention to his own medicine fields in the future. As soon as a thought flashed through his mind, Zhao Sheng shut up. He took out an elixir to reduce the swelling of his dark circles. After all, it was given by the great emperor, so the swelling is a bit hard to get rid of. Immediately, Zhao Sheng ignored the crow and hid aside to heal himself. Ha ha ha! Sect Master, thank my ancestors for me. As for the promotion to ancestor, it is temporarily exempted. In all these years, I have never properly taught my good disciple. Next, I plan to personally teach my good disciple to prepare for the battle for the order in the near future. By the way, protect his path, let him grow up as quickly as possible, and stir up the great liang of the younger generation of our forbidden sect. Dark Crow's words directly made the core disciples below extremely envious. The great emperor protects the Tao. This kind of treatment is at least only enjoyed by the young master of their Taboo Sect, that is, the number 0 disciple. In those immortal emperor clan, it is also a treatment that only the emperor's son can enjoy. Chu Luo, one of his direct disciples, actually had the great emperor protecting him. Sure enough, comparing people to each other is so annoying. Chu Luo also had a smile on his face, and warmth flowed in his heart. Although he and Dark Crow haven't seen each other for more than 10 years. But from the moment he was picked up by the Dark Crow and brought to the Forbidden Sect, he regarded them as relatives. Report. The sect master, ancient sage Yanjun of Scarlet Flame Valley, is here with a disciple. A disciple hurriedly walked into the hall, raised his hands and said. Hearing this, everyone present was stunned. Chu Luo was also confused. Scarlet Flame Valley, like his Forbidden Sect, is also one of the top forces in the 3000 Great World. The Forbidden Sect and Scarlet Flame Valley were already hostile. There are constant frictions between the two major forces. Why did ancient sage Yanjun bring people to the house? Are you looking for something to smoke? Hearing that ancient sage Yanjun came to the door, Lin Feng and the elders present turned gloomy. Especially the second elder Zhao Sheng, who had dark circles under his eyes, seemed to have remembered something, and his face was a little ugly. The people from Scarlet Flame Valley still have the nerve to come to our Forbidden Sect? Do they want to start a war? Humph! Last time in a secret realm, the people from Scarlet Flame Valley bullied others too much. If our direct disciple, senior brother Baiun, hadn't arrived in time, our junior brothers would definitely have suffered casualties. Hiss! Speaking of senior brother Baiun, I suddenly remembered. Last time in the secret realm, Han Wuja, the genius of Scarlet Flame Valley, was defeated by senior brother Baiun. When he was defeated, he threatened that he would come to challenge senior brother Baiun again in person. Could it be that ancient sage Yanjun and Han Wuja came here specifically to challenge our senior brother Bai this time? It must be. Isn't Han Wuja a disciple of the ancient sage Yanjun? But senior brother Baiun just went into seclusion a month ago. Hearing the discussions of the core disciples around him, Chu Luo suddenly realized. He had heard about this too. Bai Yun, the personal disciple known to everyone, is the precious disciple of the second elder Zhao Sheng. Both Baiun and Han Wuja from Scarlet Flame Valley are top talents on the list of geniuses. The 3000 Great World is vast and vast, with numerous powers, strong men like clouds, and monsters gathering in droves. The Tianjiao list is promulgated by Tianji Pavilion, one of the top forces. The genius list records and ranks the youngest generation of powerful geniuses in the entire 3000 Great Worlds. All the talented people on the list are like dragons and phoenixes among people. But Chu Luo didn't make the list. Without him, since he was brought to the Taboo Sect by his master, he has never left the sect and rarely fights with others. So much so that few people in the entire sect know his strength. His grandma has legs. Crimson Flame Valley comes here and you want to be beaten. Sect master, how about I become Yanjun old ghost now? I already dislike him. The Dark Crow elder cursed angrily, with murderous intent flashing in his eyes. He made a motion of wiping his neck. Everyone could see that Elder Crow was not joking. You must know that the third elder of their sect, Dark Crow, is extremely protective of others. Outside, there is a great scourge that no one is afraid of. If you don't like whoever you like, just go ahead and do it without any scruples. Lin Feng smiled bitterly, waved his hand and said, Third elder, don't panic. Let's see what this old guy wants to do. If you beat someone to death without asking questions clearly, it will be very detrimental to our sect if word spreads. Several elders on the side also nodded in agreement with what Lin Feng said. Immediately, Lin Feng asked people to invite ancient sage Yan Jun in. The disciples present did not disperse, and Chu Luo also followed to watch the excitement. Soon, an old man wearing a red-black robe entered the hall with a young man with extraordinary temperament and handsome appearance. The person who came was none other than the powerful man from Red Flame Valley who came to visit, ancient sage Yan Jun. Hiss, it's really Han Wujia. He really came to challenge senior brother Baiyun, but senior brother Baiyun is in seclusion. The other senior brothers on the list of geniuses either have to go into seclusion or go out. What should we do? Humph, it's just Han Wujia, do you really think he is invincible? He dares to be arrogant in our territory, I will be the first to challenge him. All the disciples present were whispering to Han Wujia with evil eyes. When Han Wujia heard the discussion of these disciples, the corners of his mouth raised with disdain on his face. Chu Luo looked at Han Wujia carefully, feeling slightly surprised. The trace of aura leaked from Han Wujia's body gave him a rough idea of Han Wujia's strength. The fifth realm of divine soul. At such an age, he has the cultivation of the fifth level of soul, and he is worthy of being a famous guy on the list of geniuses. I'm afraid none of the junior brothers and sisters present are a match for this guy. Elder Yan Jun, I don't know why you came to my Taboo Sect. Lin Feng, who was sitting in the main seat, no longer had the slightest bit of intimacy as before. At this moment, his whole body was filled with overwhelming holy power, like an ancient god. The thick and majestic voice shook the hall. At the same time, Chu Luo discovered that whether it was the second elder Zhao Sheng who had been beaten, or his master Dark Crow. At this moment, they all put aside their grievances with each other, and their expressions became extremely serious. They all stared closely at ancient sage Yan Jun. Chapter 4. Is this the high-level powerhouse of the Forbidden Sect? Han Wujia, who was behind the ancient saint Yan Jun, was shrouded in fear by the pressure of the saints. But he soon stabilized his mind and his eyes became firm. Ancient sage Yan Jun released his holy power and blocked Han Wujia from the holy power surrounding him. He smiled calmly, cupped his hands and said, Sect Master Lin, I, a stubborn person, made an agreement with Bai Yun, the genius of your sect, to challenge me personally. I can't defeat this stubborn guy, so I have to take him to the door in person. I hope Sect Master Lin won't be surprised. Hearing this, Zhao Sheng's face turned pale and he said, Old Ghost Yan Jun, my good disciple Baiyun is still in seclusion. Since your disciples and the disciples of this saint have set a challenge, you can come back another day. Knowing that Baiyun was still in seclusion, Han Wujia was a little disappointed and unwilling. Since Baiyun is not here, I would like to ask the seniors, can the juniors challenge other geniuses of your sect? Juniors, remember your sect, and there are 8 direct descendants. Han Wujia stepped forward and raised his hands to Lin Feng and the elders. Hearing this, Lin Feng's face darkened slightly. The expressions of several other elders were not good looking either. Unfortunately, the 8 elders of the Forbidden Sect, plus Lin Feng's direct disciples, were included. Except for Chu Luo in the main hall. The other 8 direct disciples all went into seclusion not long ago to improve their strength for the next selection of disciples of the section. Except for the Crow. Sect leader Lin Feng and several other elders did not think that Chu Luo would be Han Wujia's opponent. Because Chu Luo's cultivation level is only at the beginningless level. How could he be Han Wujia's opponent in the 5th realm of soul? You evildoer, you are making a fool of yourself. Quickly retreat. Ancient sage Yan Jun showed anger and immediately scolded him. Yes. Han Wujia was extremely unwilling to accept it, and he bowed his hands and retreated behind ancient sage Yan Jun. It doesn't matter. Junior, you came at the wrong time today. Other direct disciples are in retreat. If you want to challenge, you can come back next time. Lin Feng waved his hand and said calmly. Although Lin Feng and the elders didn't care. But the core disciples below were very aggrieved. People are coming to your door, how can you tolerate this? So, a core disciple stood up, cupped his hands and said, Sect Master, this disciple wants to challenge Han fellow deist, please allow me, the Sect Master. You. Haha, forget it. You are no match for me. Han Wujia glanced at this core disciple and found that he was at the 1st level of spiritual cultivation. He suddenly lost interest and smiled disdainfully. Damn it, this guy is too crazy. No, this guy is so crazy. Does he have such strength? I can't bear it anymore, Sect Master, I also want to challenge this Han fellow deist. I also want. A group of core members jumped out one after another and pleaded to Lin Feng on the main seat. Chu Luo stood aside, looking like a crowd eating melon. That's fine. In that case, I would just like to take this opportunity to let you see the gap between you and the real genius. This sect master is sure. Let's compete in the square arena. Lin Feng originally wanted to stop this group of core disciples who were making noises. But then I thought about it. Perhaps it would be a bad thing for these disciples to see the real gap. Third Elder, I'm sorry to trouble you. Sect leader Lin Feng said with a faint smile. Hee. A piece of cake. Buzz. The dark crow grinned, and a terrifying imperial power instantly enveloped the entire place. Great Emperor. Ancient Saint Yanjun's pupils shrank suddenly, and his eyes fell on Elder Yin Crow, full of horror and fear. But soon his face returned to calm. He didn't expect that it would be this old guy who broke through the Great Emperor realm. Now we're in trouble. Ancient Sage Yanjun exclaimed in his heart. The next moment, Han Wujia and all the disciples of the Forbidden Sect present immediately noticed that the surrounding scene was changing rapidly. In the blink of an eye, they were still in the main hall just now. Now, I don't know when, the collective came to the edge of the square in the square. Is this the method of the powerful Great Emperor? It's really terrible. Fortunately it's my master. Chu Luo in the corner grinned, feeling happy. With such a great emperor protecting him, he can rest easy in the future on his journey to martial Dao. Just when Chu Luo was in reverie, the core disciple who had previously threatened to challenge Han Wujia jumped onto the ring and glared at Han Wujia. Han Wujia, come and fight. Han Wujia looked at his master. Ancient Sage Yanjun smiled slightly and reminded, you naughty fellow, don't hurt this little friend, just stop it. Han Wujia nodded, jumped up and landed on the ring. I, Wang Hao, and senior brother Baiyun are from the same lineage as the second elder. Please enlighten me. A spiritual sword appeared in Wang Hao's hand and he said coldly. Han Wujia didn't even look at Wang Hao, he crossed his arms and said, I'm not interested in your name, just take action. Hateful. You're so crazy, boom. Wang Hao was furious and was completely angered by Han Wujia. Taking one step forward, the spirit sword in his hand just thrust out, and he attacked Han Wujia. Buzz. Han Wujia's figure disappeared instantly. In an instant, he appeared in front of Wang Hao. Han Wujia turned sideways, easily dodged Wang Hao's spirit sword, and punched him with his backhand. Wang Hao didn't have time to react. The body was like a kite with its string broken, flying upside down. Smashed to the ground. The whole process is just between lightning and flint. Wang Hao got up from the ground, his expression was blank, and his face was full of disappointment. Hiss, what a terrifying speed! At this time, all the disciples of the Forbidden Sect recovered from the shock and all took a deep breath of cold air. Lin Feng and all the elders' eyes were flashing with strange colors at this moment, and they didn't know what they were thinking. But there was a smile on the corner of ancient sage Yanjun's mouth. The only ones who can be Han Wujia's opponents are the direct descendants of the Forbidden Sect. Who else is coming? On the stage, Han Wujia looked at the disciples in the audience with disdain and said coldly. Your uncle, I'll challenge you. Another core disciple couldn't bear it anymore and jumped directly onto the ring. But the next second, this core disciple was also knocked away by Han Wujia's move. It's too much to bully others. I'm here to ask for advice. After this disciple was defeated, more disciples challenged him one after another. But as expected, the core disciples who came to power were all defeated by Han Wujia. Except for Dark Crow and Han Feng, Zhao Sheng and several other elders looked gloomy and ugly. Sometimes, they really want to let their beloved disciples out of seclusion immediately and teach Han Wujia a lesson. It's so crazy. As more and more core disciples were crushed by Han Wujia, the morale of all the disciples at the scene was low, and they all became dejected. The strength gap between them and Han Wujia was really too big. Just like a chasm, there is no way he can be Han Wujia's opponent. I saw all the disciples hanging their heads down. Chu Luo, who was hiding aside to watch the show, looked at the arrogant Han Wujia on the stage and frowned slightly. As a member of the Forbidden Sect, it was impossible for him to watch Han Wujia humiliate his sect like this. Therefore, Chu Luo entered the system with a thought. A property panel immediately comes to mind. Host, Chu Luo. Cultivation, beginningless state. Xiao Yuan, 2.5 years. Comprehension, full level. Physique, none. Kung Fu, Taboo Primordial Origin Technique, 3rd level. Calf Protection Value, 10,000. Martial Skills, Space Teleportation, Taboo level, Blood Transfer and Reincarnation, Taboo level, Great Void Palm, Taboo level. Note, the names of the 997 Taboo level martial arts are omitted below. Chapter 5. Chu Luo looked at the 10,000 calf protection value and decisively opened the system wall. His top priority was to replenish the remaining 2.5 years of his life. Because he now has a forbidden ultimate move. And to use the taboo ultimate move, you will consume your lifespan. If he doesn't replenish his longevity, he will come to power later and activate his forbidden skills. There was no need for Han Wuji to take action, he would have done it himself. Soon, Chu Luo went to the system mall and found elixirs that could replenish longevity. In the Great Thousand World, whether it is martial arts, heaven and earth elixirs, or spiritual weapons, they are divided into mortal grade, mysterious grade, spirit grade, earth grade, heaven grade, saint grade, emperor grade, and taboo grade. Their Taboo Sect has 1,000 taboo level secrets. Thus standing at the head of the top forces in the 3,000 great worlds. With my current strength, I can only withstand spiritual level medicinal power at most. Chu Luo thought to himself. Immediately search for spiritual level elixirs or elixirs that can restore longevity. Soon, Chu Luo's eyes were fixed on a pill called Xiao Yuan Dan. This elixir can restore 300 years of life. However, martial artist can only be taken once in a lifetime, and it will have no effect if taken again. Moreover, Xiao Yuan Dan only needs 300 calf protection value. Chu Luo decisively bought it. Chu Luo secretly took out the Xiao Yuan Dan from the system space and held it in his hand. Boom! On the ring, just as another disciple failed the challenge and was knocked away, he was about to fly out of the ring. Whoosh! Everyone saw a figure and rushed to the thunder platform to catch the disciple. Everyone was stunned when they saw the person rushing onto the ring. It's you who brought you trouble. The disciple who was caught did not expect it. The person in front of them turned out to be Chu Luo, whom they wanted to drive away earlier. Chu Luo grinned, helped the disciple up, and said, "Junior brother, are you okay?" "Disaster, senior brother Chu, I'm fine. Thank you. I have offended you many times before, please forgive me, senior brother Chu." The disciple cupped his fists at Chu Luo, thanked him, and then left the ring. At this moment, Chu Luo attracted the attention of everyone present. Hiss, why is this scourge going up here? Does he want to challenge Han Wuji? Isn't this looking for death? That's it, let's get rid of the harm quickly. Don't show off. If the other party misses, you will probably lose your life. Isn't that right? Although we hate you very much, we won't just watch you die. Come down quickly and don't look for shame. When our other senior brothers come out of seclusion, our face will be restored. Coming. All the disciples in the audience kindly advised Chu Luo. Being from the same sect, everyone naturally did not want to see Chu Luo being bullied by outsiders. Because no matter what Chu Luo is, he is still a direct disciple. They're direct disciples of the Taboo Sect, no matter how incompetent they are, will not be bullied by outsiders. Boy, get out of here. You haven't been expelled from the sect this time, so you can enjoy yourself secretly. How dare you go up and beat me? At this time, Zhao Sheng, who had been targeting Chu Luo and trying to drive Chu Luo out of the sect, also began to ponder. Chu Luo was stunned, turned around and grinned, her eyes full of confidence. Chu Luo knew very well that although Zhao Sheng didn't like him, he wanted to drive him out of the sect as a scourge. But Chu Luo knew clearly that Zhao Sheng was actually kind at heart. If he hadn't often visited Zhao Sheng's medicine field before, Zhao Sheng would not target him like this. Furthermore, if Zhao Sheng is that kind of insidious and vicious person, the previous punch of his master, Dark Crow, was not as simple as just blackening his eye socket. Hee. Old Ghost Zhao, do you know that you are worried about my good disciple? You weren't kidnapped, were you? The crow laughed strangely and joked. Go away, you are not my disciple, only the devil is worried. I'm afraid that he will embarrass our sect. Zhao Sheng curled his lips, the swelling and pain coming from his eyes made him want to punch Dark Crow back. But he can't do it now. Dark Crow grinned, stood up and said to Han Wuji on the ring, Kid, since my good disciple wants to challenge you, just wait a moment and I will come as soon as I go." As soon as he finished speaking, the figure of Dark Crow disappeared instantly. At this moment, Han Wuja on the stage looked at Chu Luo in surprise. "It feels very incredible. The young man in front of me is actually the disciple of the great Emperor of Crow. In other words, the person in front of me is also a direct disciple of the Taboo Sect. But why does the other party only have the cultivation level of Wu Bei? This kid is actually Crow's apprentice. Hee." The ancient sage Yan Jun below the ring was also surprised. A strange light flashed in his eyes, remembering Chu Luo. "Are you a direct disciple of the ancient sage of Crow?" Han Wuja frowned and looked at Chu Luo carefully. Chu Luo spread his hands and shrugged, "Of course." "What? Don't I look like a direct disciple?" Han Wuja smiled disdainfully, folded his hands and snorted, "I know most of the direct disciples of the Forbidden Sect. Each of your direct disciples has a higher level of cultivation than you, and all of them are famous on the list of geniuses. How come I haven't heard of you? You are no match for me, get out of here. Otherwise, if I hurt you, the ancient sage of Crows will cause trouble for me." The ancient sage of the Crow of the Forbidden Sect is well known in the 3000 worlds as a protector of shortcomings. And he has no principles, even if he is a junior, he can do it. Han Wuja didn't want to be taken care of by the old lunatic crow. Chu Luo grinned, relaxed his muscles and bones, and secretly held the Xiao Yuan pill in his hand. "Peace of mind. I promise, even if you hurt me, my master will not cause you any trouble. Besides, from today on, you will remember my name. And after today, your ranking on the list of geniuses will probably be gone." Chu Luo's words caused the core disciples below to cover their faces. This disaster is caused by the difference in cultivation between oneself and others. To be so arrogant. I hope I won't be beaten too badly by the opponent later. Snort. Okay, then I want to learn a lesson from you as my personal successor today. Let's take action. Give me a hand. Han Wuja was angered by Chu Luo's words, and with a gloomy face, he stretched out a hand towards Chu Luo. The corner of Chu Luo's mouth raised, just as he was taking medicine to restore his longevity. There was an invisible fluctuation in the arena between the two. Immediately afterwards, the dark crow who had left earlier appeared on the ring. Han Wuja was startled and couldn't help but take a step back. "Master!" Chu Luo was slightly startled, curious as to why his master came up here. And Chu Luo noticed. In his master's hand, he held an emerald green spiritual grass, emitting a faint light. A powerful medicinal power emanates from this spiritual grass. "That's holy medicine." Ancient sage Yan Jun in the audience noticed the spiritual grass in Yin Crow's hand and exclaimed on the spot. "That's right, the spiritual grass in Elder Crow's hand is a holy medicine. Vital grass. Could it be?" Elder Zhao Sheng stared at the holy medicine in Crow's hand. He seemed to recognize this familiar holy medicine. Immediately, he suddenly turned around, quickly left the scene, and headed straight for his own mountain. Damn the old ghost of the crow! The next moment, everyone present heard the sound on the mountain peak in the distance. There was a heartbreaking roar. Chapter 6. People at the scene didn't need to think about where they got the holy medicine in Elder Crow's hands. "Hey hey! Kid, if you want to fight my good disciple, please wait a moment. My good disciple, chew up this grass. Restore your longevity first." Dark Crow threw the vitality grass in his hand to Chu Luo. Chu Luo swallowed as she looked at the vitality grass in her hand that contained astonishing medicinal power and vitality. "Master, do you think my 2.5 years of life are too long? This is a holy medicine. If I take it, won't I belch on the spot?" Hearing this, Han Wuja and the ancient sage Yan Jun in the audience couldn't help but have strange expressions on their faces. Especially the ancient sage Yan Jun, he only noticed it at this time. Chu Luo is obviously still very young, but his longevity is only 2.5 years. "It's okay, I will take away the power of the medicine, leaving only the vitality to replenish your longevity." Yin Crow walked behind Chu Luo and put his hand on Chu Luo's shoulder. Chu Luo nodded and secretly put away the Xiao Yuan Dan. I had known that his master would bring him the holy elixir to replenish his longevity. He won't buy longevity pills anymore. That Han Wuja, right? Wait a minute, I'll take some medicine to replenish my longevity. Otherwise, if I fight with you, I will stop, so that I won't wrongly accuse you. Chu Luo laughed and chewed the holy medicine in her hand. All the core disciples in the audience smacked their lips. This is holy medicine. This scourge is actually being eaten like this. What a waste of resources. Boom. The moment Chu Luo swallowed the vitality grass, a majestic medicinal power instantly filled his body. Chu Luo felt that the next moment, he would be burst by the power of this medicine. Buzz. At this time, the dark crow behind him raised his eyes slightly. The palm resting on Chu Luo's shoulder felt a terrifying suction force. All the swelling medicinal power in Chu Luo's body was sucked away by the dark crow. Chu Luo felt relaxed all over. His lifespan, which originally only had 2.5 years left, was now fully replenished. Chu Luo checked secretly. It was discovered that his current longevity has been restored to 1,000 years. Good disciple, don't embarrass your master. No mercy. Don't be afraid even if you beat this kid to death, master is here. Dark Crow patted Chu Luo, turned around and stepped out, his figure instantly returned to Lin Feng's side. Okay master, I'm just waiting for your words. Chu Luo grinned and reminded Han Wuji kindly, fellow deist, be careful, I'm about to attack. Snort. Stop talking nonsense and take action. Han Wuji stood on the spot, unmoved at all, not even paying attention to Chu Luo, the beginningless realm. Boom. Chu Luo's body trembled, and strong spiritual power filled the air from his body. The ancient sages Yanjun and the elders of the Forbidden Sect in the audience could not help but be stunned and felt very surprised when they sensed the spiritual power emanating from Chu Luo. What a powerful spirit! Hee. Take the move. Chu Luo sneered and quickly formed seals with his hands. The next moment, the pupils of all the disciples shrank suddenly and their eyes widened. Under the eyes of everyone, behind Chu Luo, a vast endless starry sky appeared. In the starry sky, the stars are turning, things are changing and stars are moving. In an instant, the twinkling stars were swallowed up by a black hole. The next moment, a force that made everyone's hearts tremble spread out from the black hole of the vision. Immediately afterwards, an illusory hand that covered the sky and covered the sun, filled with stars, wielded powerful power and suppressed it from the black hole phenomenon behind Chu Luo. Hiss, this is the forbidden secret skill of our forbidden sect, the Great Void Palm. Oh my god, this is a forbidden secret skill, and Harm has actually learned it. Isn't that right? It's extremely difficult for even the senior brothers who are on the list of geniuses to master a forbidden secret skill. Oh, you are so confused. Why did you show your trump card right from the start? If this blow fails to defeat Han Wuji, the disaster is destined to be defeated. Seeing the huge star palm that was suppressed at an extremely fast speed, all the disciples at the scene looked shocked. No one expected that Chu Luo would actually master the unique skill of Su Mi Zhang. Boom boom. Under the giant palm of the stars, the entire arena shook violently. How can it be? Han Wuji's face was full of horror at this moment. He didn't expect that the kid in front of him could actually display such a powerful skill. Due to the huge star palm, the killing speed is extremely fast. Han Wuji had a flaming spear in his hand. Immediately afterwards, monstrous flames soared into the sky from his body. The vast flames shot straight into the sky, burning nothingness. Boom! Under everyone's gaze, the giant palm of stars fell instantly. Locked down the entire arena. A terrifying big explosion rose directly. The violent power is like ripples in water, sweeping away in all directions. Ban! Buzz! The two senior elders of the Taboo Sect took action in time. The two elders stepped forward and pointed a finger. A powerful spiritual barrier blocked the entire arena. Only then did the disciples around the ring survive. Seeing this scene, ancient sage Yanjun looked unhappy. He also underestimated Chu Luo. At the same time, he was also particularly wary of the Taboo Sect's unique skills. A small beginningless realm can be so powerful when used. Lin Feng and several elders of the Forbidden Sect were paying attention to the arena with different expressions. But there was a smile on the corners of his mouth. I didn't expect this little guy to actually learn the Great Void Palm. Ha ha ha. Although this kid doesn't have a special physique, he seems to have good talent. No wonder the third elder would accept him as his disciple. No wonder this kid only had 2.5 years left to live. I think it was because he was practicing the Great Void Palm. Lin Feng and several elders laughed. At this moment, the senior leaders of the Taboo Sect gradually changed their view of Chu Luo. Hey! Sect Master, just watch with peace of mind. My good disciple will have a bigger surprise. Dark Crow grinned and said mysteriously. His good disciple has not only mastered the unique skill of Decisive Palm, but 1,000 forbidden secrets. Oh! Hearing this, Lin Feng and all the elders were stunned. Their eyes fell on the battlefield where the smoke dissipated, and they began to look forward to it. What other surprises does this little guy have for them? Buzz! In the gradually dissipating smoke, a ball of red flames rose into the sky. The surrounding temperature rose sharply. At this moment, the arena in the square disappeared. In the center of the rubble, Han Wuja was wrapped in flames, and his eyes were filled with endless anger. Han Wuja is injured. The harm is great. Bah, what a disaster, that's our senior brother Chu. Ah, yes, yes, look at my mouth. Senior brother Chu is awesome. Senior brother Chu, how powerful is our Taboo Sect? Chapter 7. Some disciples at the scene discovered that there was a trace of blood remaining at the corner of Han Wuja's mouth. Obviously, the opponent was injured just now under Chu Luo's Decisive Palm. All the disciples instantly became excited. Everyone knows that using their Taboo Sect's unique skills will cost them their lifespan. A person who does not hesitate to waste his life to fight for their Taboo Sect. The disciples present, even if they hated Chu Luo before, are now full of respect. Boy, if you were at a higher level, I might not be able to handle the move you just made. However, you are qualified to let me go all out, boom. Han Wuja's eyes were on fire, and murderous intent arose in his heart. When did Han Wuja suffer such a big loss? Then he jumped up. Immediately afterwards, the flames on Han Wuja's body soared into the sky, escaped into the clouds, and burned the sky. The terrifying high temperature instantly filled the world. Chu Luo, who was in the center of the battlefield, saw that the gravel on the ground could not resist the heat and melted into magma. Chu Luo couldn't help but become serious. Sure enough, none of the monsters on the list of geniuses are simple things. Buzz buzz. Han Wuja was in the void, with violent fluctuations coming from his body. Immediately afterwards, an endless field of fire evolved behind him. In the endless fire domain, thousands of fires burned the sky and burned through the world. A phantom of law manifestation surrounded by divine flames, stepping on heaven and earth, stepping on all fires. In his hand, he held a flaming gun with divine fire. Hiss, what a terrifying power, is this the power of the genius on the list? Han Wuja possesses the flame holy body. This is the power of the flame holy body. Senior brother Chu, please surrender quickly. You are already very powerful. Yes, senior brother Chu, surrender quickly, don't fight that guy, he has the holy body in him. Looking at this scene in the void, the disciples in the audience began to worry about Chu Luo. The ancient sage Yanjun on the side raised the corners of his mouth and sneered. He knew the outcome of this battle without even thinking about it. However, ancient sage Yanjun was also ready to rescue Chu Luo at any time. After all, this is the territory of the Forbidden Sect. If Han Wuja accidentally kills Chu Luo, they will surely face the crazy revenge of the Dark Crow. Boy, you can be proud of yourself if you can force me to use the holy body. Take the move. Fire flame suppressing spear, boom. Han Wuja roared in anger. The law manifestation behind him raised the magic gun in his hand and suppressed it under the ring. Chu Luo raised his head, grinned, looked up to the sky and roared, come just come, I'm afraid you won't make it. Master, I told you that you must be removed from the heavenly list today. Break, boom. With a thought, Chu Luo secretly consumed the remaining calf protection value to improve his realm. Boom. Under the stunned eyes of everyone, Chu Luo's aura is rising steadily. The 2 realms without beginning. The 3 realms without beginning. 6 realms without beginning. Chu Luo used up all the remaining calf protection points, and his cultivation level was raised by 5 small realms by the system. Cultivation has directly reached the peak of the beginningless realm. Everyone stared at Chu Luo like a monster, and were extremely shocked. Breaking through 5 small realms in one breath, is this still a human being? Even Han Wuja was shocked by the scene. Come and fight. The bloody pagoda finger. 9 nether cold bone fingers. Soul-eating evil eyes. Chu Luo jumped up, looking up to the sky and roaring. The loud voice resounded throughout the Forbidden Sect. Chu Luo fell under the shocked gazes of Lin Feng, a group of senior elders, and countless disciples. Continuously cast in one breath, the forbidden skills of 3 sects. Boom! Under the eyes of countless people. Behind Chu Luo, two powerful law manifestations, one red and one white, rose. Moreover, a dark vision appeared behind Chu Luo. In the vision, a pair of huge blood-colored eyes were filled with patterns, which was quite strange. A powerful spiritual force filled the air. Chu Luo's eyes also turned into the pair of evil eyes behind him, and the whole person looked particularly evil. Boom! Two statues of law manifestation, one red and one white, extending one finger at the same time. Two fingers containing terrifying power collided with the phantom of the suppressing flaming spear. The two powerful forces came to a standstill in an instant. What? How can this be? Han Wuji could not believe the scene in front of him. An ant from the beginningless realm actually blocked his own attack. He is a genius on the list of geniuses. He couldn't accept it. Hateful. Suffer death. Drink. Han Wuji roared furiously and raised his strength to the extreme. And the moment Han Wuji mobilized all his strength, Chu Luo's eyes narrowed. The lines in the blood-colored eyes flowed. An astonishing soul power, mixed with astonishing devouring power, burst out. Before Han Wuji noticed anything, his body suddenly trembled. His eyes also turned blood-colored, just like the pair of blood-colored eyes behind Chu Luo. Immediately afterwards, a severe pain swept through the whole body. Ah! Han Wuji screamed in pain and started wailing while holding his head. The strength in his body was instantly dissipated. Boom! The law manifestation holding the flaming spear behind him also disappeared. And the giant finger, one red and one white, containing terrifying power, tore through the flames remaining in the void and crashed directly into Han Wuji, who was beginning to fall. Disciple. Ancient sage Yanjun also reacted instantly, filled with endless anger. His body flashed and he appeared next to Han Wuji in an instant. He crushed Chu Luo's two attacks with his backhand. And at the moment when ancient sage Yanjun set off, Dark Crow, Lin Feng and a group of elders also disappeared immediately and appeared next to Chu Luo, protecting him behind them. At this moment, all the Forbidden Sect disciples watching the battle were just human beings. Looking at Chu Luo, who was being protected by his sect leader and elders, he looked like a monster. They didn't expect it anyway. The scourge they all shouted and beat was so terrifyingly powerful. Even Han Wuji of the Divine Soul Realm was defeated. When everyone recalled the scene that had just happened, they felt that it was extremely unreal, as if they were in a dream. Ah! Ancient sage Yanjun landed with Han Wuji in his arms. Han Wuji held his head in his hands and let out a heart-rending scream. Disciple, what's wrong with you? Ancient sage Yanjun was anxious and put a hand on Han Wuji's wrist. The next moment, ancient sage Yanjun's expression suddenly changed. He found Han Wuji's body. There is a very strange spiritual power that is quickly devouring his soul. Ancient sage Yanjun immediately took action in an attempt to eliminate this strange soul power. But he found that his cultivation in the ancient saint realm was actually unable to remove it. What's going on? The ancient sage Yanjun had an ugly expression on his face. He looked at Chu Luo behind Lin Feng, with a ruthless killing intent flashing in his eyes. Old sage Yanjun, your disciple has fallen prey to my sect's forbidden secret skill, the soul-eating evil eye. Even among the many taboo secret arts, this taboo is extremely heaven-defying. The soul of the person who falls within it will be torn apart and devoured immediately, and will never be reincarnated. Fortunately, Chu Luo's cultivation level is relatively low, and Han Wuji still has a glimmer of hope. Lin Feng explained with a calm expression. Then how can we rescue and eliminate this strange force? Ancient sage Yanjun asked. Lin Feng shook his head slightly and said, Old sage Yanjun, I am afraid I have disappointed you. I don't know how to solve this problem either. Because of this forbidden secret skill, no one in the entire sect except Chu Luo can learn it. Maybe the great emperor can take action and solve it. Hearing this, ancient sage Yanjun looked at Dark Crow. The Dark Crow smiled obscenely and gloated, Why are you looking at me for this? What's the matter with this emperor? Hurry up and take your useless disciple back to your Scarlet Flame Valley and take action against those old guys in your valley. My skills are inferior to those of others, but you still dare to challenge me in the Forbidden Sect. Who is to blame? Chapter 8. You. Ancient sage Yanjun looked as ugly as if he had eaten shit. But he didn't dare talk back. Today's Dark Crow is a supreme great emperor. If you annoy the other person, you won't hesitate to beat him to death. Sect leader Lin, the genius of Scarlet Flame Valley, just came to challenge me. I promised you we'd be fine before, but now this kid has hurt my disciples so seriously, you have to give us an explanation in Red Flame Valley. Ancient Sage Yanjun said in a deep voice. The way he looked like it was none of my business, and he didn't care if he was watching the excitement. The killing intent in his heart couldn't stop overflowing. Sensing the murderous intention of the ancient sage Yanjun towards Chu Luo, the expressions of Lin Feng, Dark Crow, and several senior elders instantly turned cold. The temperature of the entire world dropped sharply. Between heaven and earth, the wind and clouds are changing, and it is as cold as winter. And, you still dare to demand an explanation from us? When this slap from this emperor hits your face later, it will be my instructions from the Forbidden Sect to you in Scarlet Flame Valley. A godless power rose from the crow into the sky and enveloped the world. The figure of the dark crow became extremely majestic, looking down at ancient sage Yanjun as if looking at an ant. Ancient sage Yanjun suddenly became excited and realized that he had revealed his murderous intention towards Chu Luo. He immediately restrained himself. Explain. What if my Taboo Sect doesn't give it to me? What can you do to Scarlet Flame Valley? Lin Feng narrowed his eyes slightly, his cold murderous intent not concealed at all. The same is true for several elders around me. After seeing Chu Luo's defiance, Lin Feng has long regarded Chu Luo as the treasure of their Forbidden Sect. If the old guy in front of you doesn't know what's interesting, he doesn't mind killing an ancient saint today to add to the fun. Chu Luo, who was behind everyone, could not help but shudder when he sensed the killing intent on Lin Feng and the elders. He has never seen the sect master, who has always been approachable, look like this today. Ding! The calf protection value from the sect leader is plus 5,000 calf protection value from Master Great Emperor plus 10,000 calf protection value from the 4th Elder plus 5,000. At this moment, a prompt came from Chu Luo's mind. Looking at the calf protection points he was getting continuously, Chu Luo almost burst out laughing. Chu Luo looked at Han Wuja, who kept holding his head and wailing, and an idea flashed in his mind. He knows how to quickly gain calf protection points. As long as he beats all the geniuses on the genius list to look like Han Wuja. If you hit the younger one, the older one will naturally come out and target him. When the time comes, his master will naturally stand up for him like he did today. Isn't it worth protecting the calf? Ha ha ha. He is such a genius. Chu Luo made up his mind. When he becomes stronger, he will challenge the geniuses on the genius list. You. Okay. Sect leader Lin, I hope you, the ancestors of Scarlet Flame Valley, can still be so strong when they come to visit you. Ancient sage Yanjun had a gloomy face, grabbed Han Wuja beside him, turned around and tore apart the space to leave. Everyone present scoffed at the words of ancient sage Yanjun. It's as if their forbidden sect has no ancestors. Good disciple, well done. Elder Dark Crow turned around and gave a thumbs up to his precious apprentice. The more he looked at it, the more satisfied he became. Boy, I didn't expect you to hide so much. I actually learned the 4 secret arts of the sect. But please be careful in the future. Although the forbidden skills of our forbidden sect are against the heavens, as your strength increases, the power of the skills you use will become greater, and the price you pay will become greater and greater. Unless absolutely necessary, it is better to use taboo skills sparingly in the future. Lin Feng looked at Chu Luo in front of him and was filled with fondness. Their taboo sect has unearthed another monster. Yes, disciple, remember this. Chu Luo nodded and cupped his hands. In fact, Chu Luo understood it deeply without Lin Feng's reminder. He used the Great Void Palm in the Wuxi realm, only to lose 50 years of his life. But after improving his cultivation level and using 3 taboo skills, each move actually cost 100 years of life. At this moment, he still has 1,150 years left in his life. After ascending to 5 minor realms, the original lifespan of 1,000 years has been increased by 500 years. Buzz buzz. Just when Chu Luo was in trance, suddenly, the heaven and earth shook, and golden light appeared on the sky. In the golden cloud curtain, an illusory list emerged. This is the list of geniuses. Chu Luo was no stranger to this scene. In the past 10 years, I have often seen the strange phenomena that appear when the list of geniuses changes. At this moment, countless powerful men in the entire 3,000 realms saw the list of geniuses floating in the sky. Hiss! After 2.5 months, the list of geniuses has changed again. I don't know which genius has been squeezed out this time. In our entire 3,000 realms, Only 200 geniuses can be included in the list. Who knows? The list of geniuses has changed frequently recently, which means that evildoers are constantly emerging, and the golden age is coming. Under the eyes of countless powerful men and geniuses. Seeing Crimson Flame Valley, which was ranked 150th on the list of geniuses, the words Han Wuja gradually disappeared and turned into Chu Luo of the Forbidden Sect. It turns out that he is the genius of the Forbidden Sect. This is not surprising. After all, the Forbidden Sect is the top force in the 3,000 worlds, excluding the 4 great emperor clans in the Hidden World and the 4 ancient families. Yes, perhaps the 4 great emperor clans and the 4 great ancient families who have never entered the world may not necessarily be the opponents of the Forbidden Sect. But why haven't you heard of Chu Luo, the genius of the Forbidden Sect? Yes, he must be a newly minted disciple, right? Probably. In the discussions of countless powerful people, the list of geniuses gradually disappeared. Within the Taboo Sect, Chu Luo also didn't expect that he would actually take Han Wuja's place. He should be famous now. And this is exactly what Chu Luo wants. Once he becomes famous, some geniuses on the list will take the initiative to challenge him. Save him the trouble of searching all over the world for these geniuses. Hee. Fellow deist, after watching for so long, it's time to show up, right? Do you want me to ask you to come out personally? At this time, a group of disciples who were about to disperse suddenly saw sect leader Lin Feng and a group of elders looking up into the depths of the void. Chu Luo was also stunned and subconsciously raised his head. Is there still Lao Lu hiding in the dark? Ha ha ha. Congratulations to Sect Master Lin, the Forbidden Sect has added another genius. An old and hearty laughter sounded. Immediately afterwards, Chu Luo saw an old man wearing a colorful mysterious robe and grey hair descending in front of him from the depths of the void. Chu Luo knew this old man. This old man is one of the top forces, a senior elder of the Dan Sect. Ancient Sage Kingdom. The Dan Sect has a good relationship with their Taboo Sect, and the two sects often communicate with each other. In the more than 10 years that Chu Luo has been in the sect, he has met the Ancient Sage Kingdom who visited several times. Chapter 9. Hey. Old Man Kingdom, I have discovered you a long time ago. I was thinking that if you don't show up yet, I will arrest you personally. The Dark Crow laughed strangely, rubbed his hands and said. Ha ha ha. How can I hide this from the eyes of the Ancient Sage of the Crow? Oh, no, it should be called Great Emperor of Crow now. The Ancient Sage Kingdom laughed loudly. In addition to the politeness between old friends, the attitude toward the crow was also filled with awe. Stop pulling those useless things for me. This is my good disciple. You old man is good at alchemy. Please give me a gift to meet my good disciple. By the way, my dear disciple needs a pill that can restore his longevity. Yenya smiled and asked for a meeting gift from the ancient sage Qing Dan on behalf of Chu Luo. Seeing this scene, Lin Feng and all the elders were speechless. The 3 elders are now great emperors, but they are still so shameless. The ancient sage Kingdom also understands the temper of the crow. He immediately took out a few bottles of high-quality elixirs that could restore vitality and handed them to Chu Luo. Chu Luo was not polite, took the elixir, and put it away happily. Needless to say, the grade of the elixir given by an ancient alchemy sage goes without saying. Thank you Ancient Sage Kingdom. Chu Luo thanked the Ancient Sage Kingdom. Ancient Sage Kingdom waved his hand, looked Chu Luo up and down, and raised a smile at the corner of his mouth. He watched the entire battle between Chu Luo and Han Wuja. It was hard for him to imagine that Chu Luo in front of him could actually leapfrog and defeat Han Wuja on the list of geniuses. The scene in which he continuously broke through 5 small realms in one breath, Kingdom Ancient Sage is still vivid in his mind when he thinks about it now, and he is astonished. Kingdom fellow deist, I wonder what's going on with this visit. You don't go to the 3 treasures hall for any reason? Lin Feng suddenly asked with a smile. Ha ha ha. Of course there is something, and it's something important. The Ancient Sage Kingdom laughed loudly. Oh? What's the matter? All the elders were very curious, and even Chu Luo pricked up his ears to listen. Ancient Sage Kingdom sighed and replied, recently I heard that a great emperor is suspected to be born in the Huangtian state of Biwen realm. According to reports from the powerful men sent by our Dan sect to investigate, the owner of the Great Emperor's secret realm is suspected to be an ancestor of the Great Emperor who died outside in the ancient times of our Dan sect. I think you will also learn about the news that the Great Emperor's secret realm is about to appear in the near future. Once the news of the great emperor's secret realm spreads, it will definitely cause a sensation in the entire 3,000 worlds. Our fallen ancestor was so amazing back then that he created 2 kinds of imperial elixirs. It's just that the ancestor died too suddenly and failed to leave 2 self-created imperial elixir prescriptions in the sect. But we are sure that the fallen ancestor must have the elixir he left behind. Therefore, after the decision of all the old guys in the sect, I came to the Forbidden Sect and asked the geniuses of the Forbidden Sect to help me, a disciple of the Alchemy Sect, enter the secret realm and retrieve the lost elixir. You also know that most of our Dan Sect disciples are not as good as those monsters on the list of geniuses. Of course, we won't let you help in vain. Afterwards, the sect will give you 16 holy elixirs and 1 imperial elixir in return. Speaking of this, ancient sage Kingdon was quite helpless. After all, his Dan sect was one of the top forces. The younger generation is very crotchless. In the huge Dan sect, there is only 1 genius on the list. I see. But it's a pity that the great emperor came out of the secret realm, and all the direct disciples of my sect have to go into seclusion. I am afraid. Lin Feng felt very sorry. The appearance of the great emperor's secret realm is definitely a great opportunity. However, all the top geniuses of the sect have gone into seclusion and missed this great opportunity. The secret realm of the great emperor is opened, and the evil geniuses from all the top forces are bound to gather together. Ordinary disciples simply cannot compete with these monsters. Ha ha ha. Sect Master Lin, it's okay. Isn't there another one? Ancient Sage Kingdon looked at Chu Luo. Chu Luo was stunned. He wanted to hear some gossip, but why did it involve him? Hearing this, Lin Feng and all the elders' eyes lit up. Yes. How could they forget this kid? Although this kid Chu Luo is only in the Wuobei realm. But when everyone thought of the scene where Chu Luo broke through 5 small realms in one breath, they couldn't help but get excited. Once this kid enters the secret realm of the great emperor, it will only be a matter of time before he gets the chance to break through the divine soul realm. By then, even if you meet the top monsters on the prodigy list, you will still be able to fight. We won't let them, the Taboo Sect, miss this opportunity. Chu Luo, are you willing to lead a team to the great emperor's secret realm? The secret realm of the great emperor has countless opportunities. If you want to participate in the sect's serial competition, with your current strength, I'm afraid it's not enough. In addition to the direct disciples who are in retreat, there are also a few core disciples who are also on the list of geniuses. Do you think you can compete with them with your current strength? Lin Feng looked at Chu Luo and smiled. Chu Luo frowned slightly. Lin Feng's words were true. Regardless of the core disciples present, none of them were Han Wuji's opponents. But among the core disciples, there are also evildoers. It's just that these people are in seclusion, competing for the order to improve their strength. The battle for sequence is the most grand event in the Taboo Sect. The sequence disciples are the candidates for the next sect leader and senior elders. Good disciple, you are right to listen to the sect master. You must seize this opportunity. Dark Crow pulled Chu Luo aside and spoke in a low voice. Okay, master, you must go too. Because I'm afraid of being targeted. Chu Luo nodded and agreed to lead the team into the secret realm this time. But in fact, Chu Luo really wanted to tell his master. Master, if you protect me, this is my greatest opportunity. Of course. Whoever dares to target you, I will crush him to ashes as my teacher. Don't worry, I will go with you when the time comes. Yenya told Chu Luo to do it safely and boldly, patting his chest and promising. Chu Luo nodded, turned around and said, Okay, sect leader, I'll go. Senior Kingdon, when will we set off? Ancient Sage Kingdon smiled faintly. With Chu Luo's participation, he finally felt a little more at ease and replied, Little friend Chu, if you have nothing to do, you can leave tomorrow. Good. Afterwards, Ancient Sage Kingdon chatted with everyone for a few words, then left the Taboo Sect and returned to the sect. After today's battle, Chu Luo also once again became famous throughout the Taboo Sect. But this time, it's a good reputation. In this battle, Chu Luo saved the Taboo Sect's face. All the disciples in the sect were discussing the wonderful battle between Chu Luo and Han Wuji. At night, Chu Luo returned to the mountain peak where the crow belonged. Miss Xia Feng. Because Chu Luo is the only disciple of Yin Crow. Therefore, Niangxia Peak is particularly deserted. Chu Luo was the only one in a huge courtyard. At night for more than 10 years, only the moonlight and fireflies have accompanied me. But Chu Luo has long been used to it. Late at night, Chu Luo saw that his unreliable master had not returned yet, so he returned to his room alone. After closing the door and window, Chu Luo entered the system with a thought. Chu Luo checked his attribute panel and found that the CAF protection value that was originally cleared had changed to 35,000. Chu Luo originally wanted to use the CAF protection value to break through the Divine Soul realm. But he suddenly remembered the flaming holy body that Han Wuja had used today. As far as Chu Luo knows, among the 9 direct disciples in the sect, except for him, he has no special physique. The other 8 direct descendants all possess a heaven-defying holy body. As for the geniuses on the genius list, most of them have heaven-defying physiques. Is the holy body so worthless now? Give everyone a share. No, if I want to become stronger, I have to get a holy body or a divine body. Chapter 10. Chu Luo touched his chin and decided to take a look at the special physique of the system wall. Open the column for special physiques. Chu Luo was stunned. There are a dazzling array of special physiques in the system wall. Take any one out and it will be amazing. However, the required CAF protection value is also extremely high. The 35,000 CAF protection value he currently has can only buy the lowest spirit body. Suddenly, Chu Luo noticed the top 10 most conspicuous physiques in the physique column. These top 10 physiques are also the legendary heaven-defying physiques in the 3000 worlds. Chaos Divine Body 5 million CAF protection value, Void Divine Body 4 million CAF protection value, Ancient Holy Body 3 million CAF protection value, Immortality 2 million CAF protection value. After browsing, Chu Luo didn't expect that the system even had the top 10 legendary physiques. As expected of Tongzi, Chu Luo's eyes fell on the immortal body and was attracted by it. Could it be that a person with this physique can live forever? So, Chu Luo clicked on the longevity body and saw its introduction. He became excited instantly. Immortal body, those with this constitution have endless lifespan, immortal body, immortal soul, and immortality. In just a few words, Chu Luo made his decision. No matter what, I have to collect enough CAF protection points to exchange for immortality. Once he has immortality, won't he be able to use unlimited forbidden moves? The shortcoming of the forbidden ultimate move, which consumes lifespan, is completely ineffective against him. The terrifying power of the forbidden secret fascinates Chu Luo. He no longer looked down upon ordinary martial arts. Even the emperor-grade martial arts skills are not appreciated. The taboo ultimate move is the aesthetics of violence. There are even some taboo moves that not even the great emperor can resolve. It seems that I have to rely on myself to improve my cultivation in the future. After making up his mind, Chu Luo exited the system and sighed. From now on, he must work hard to accumulate CAF protection points. 2 million CAF protection points only require his master to stand up for him 200 times, which is not much. As soon as a thought flashed through his mind, Chu Luo sat cross-legged, activated the forbidden primordial origin technique, and began to practice, at the same time. One of the top forces, Red Flame Valley. Deep inside the sect of Red Flame Valley, 2 figures stood respectfully in front of a moss-covered stone door. If Chu Luo were here and saw one of them, he would definitely be surprised. Because one of them was Han Wuja, who had been struck by the eyes of the soul-eating evil god. At this moment, Han Wuja's face was pale, his breath was a little weak, and his eyes were flashing with hatred. He vowed to do it if given the chance. He must kill Chu Luo. Junior, we have eliminated 80% of the strange power in your body. The power of this move is quite strange. We have never seen it before, but your life is no longer in danger. We have sealed the remaining strange power for you. Come back after a while. Behind the stone door in front of Han Wuja, a voice filled with supreme majesty came. Thank you, ancestor, for saving your life. Han Wuja bent down and bowed his hands in thanks. Ancestor, the forbidden sect is bullying people too much. If the ancestor hadn't taken action, I'm afraid Wuja would have been doomed today. Please, ancestor, seek justice for our master and disciple. The ancient sage Yanjun next to Han Wuja had a gloomy face, and he felt angry when he thought of the forbidden sect. After a while, the voice from behind came again from behind the stone door. Now is not the time to break up with the forbidden sect. But the forbidden sect disciple who used such weird moves cannot be kept. You have mastered such amazing moves at a young age. If you let it grow up, it will be even more difficult for the forbidden sect to deal with. Call out. As soon as he finished speaking, he was behind the moss-covered stone door. Suddenly a stream of light shot out and shot into Han Wuji's mind. Han Wuji was stunned for a moment, with a look of excitement on his face. In his mind, there was an additional Emperor-grade combat skill. This Imperial skill is given to you. Next time you meet that boy from the Forbidden Sect, be sure to kill him. The old voice sounded again. Thank you, Ancestor. This disciple will definitely kill Chu Luo with his own hands. Han Wuji cupped his hands and said coldly. After Shimon, there was no response. Immediately, ancient sage Yanjun left this place with Han Wuji, at the same time. Do not know when. A piece of news shocked the great world. In Biwen realm, Huangtian state, the secret realm of the great emperor is about to appear. That night, above the sky of the 3,000 great worlds. The visions are full of visions and brilliance, attracting the attention of countless forces. For a time, many forces immediately dispatched strong men and rushed to Biwen realm overnight. Early in the morning, when the first golden sun shines on the earth. Within the Taboo Sect, Chu Luo had been waiting beside a huge void ship early. Soon, more than a dozen core disciples gathered together and handed over to Chu Luo, senior brother Chu. Everyone no longer calls Chu Luo a disaster. The attitude towards Chu Luo at this moment is also full of respect. Junior brothers. Chu Luo also smiled slightly and returned the favor with cupped fists. These dozen core disciples will follow him into the great emperor's secret realm to compete for opportunities. By the way, junior brothers, can you see my master? Chu Luo suddenly remembered that his master did not return home last night. No one was seen this morning, and I don't know where master went. It seems that the time to set off is coming soon. The leading core disciples looked at each other, shook their heads, and said, Senior brother Chu, we have never seen the third elder. Chu Luo was speechless for a while. My master is now a great emperor, but he is still so unreliable. At this time, everyone saw two streams of light coming from the depths of the sect and landing in front of everyone. Seeing these two people arriving, more than a dozen core disciples raised their hands and saluted, Second Elder. Fourth Elder. The second elder, Zhao Sheng, nodded slightly, glanced at Chu Luo, and said with a cold expression, Let's go. This trip to Biwen will be led by me and the fourth elder. Yes. More than a dozen disciples jumped onto the void warship. Only then did Chu Luo come back to his senses. The corners of his mouth twitched wildly, and his whole body felt bad. Chu Luo stepped forward and said to the fourth elder, where is my master? Where has he gone? This fourth elder, named Qin Yi, is an amiable-looking old man. He. Little guy, your master has something to do and has left the sect long ago. Before leaving, the third elder specifically asked me and the second elder to protect you. It's getting late, let's go quickly. After saying that, Qin Yi and Zhao Sheng boarded the warship, leaving only Chu Luo standing there in a daze. His great emperor master let him go again. Not reliable at all. Zhao Sheng doesn't want to see him so much, what if the other party wears small shoes for him? Now the only ones he can rely on are the four elders. Boy, are you leaving? If you don't leave, we'll leave. Zhao Sheng reminded Chu Luo angrily when he saw Chu Luo who was dazed and motionless. Coming. Chu Luo also replied angrily. I was waiting for them here early in the morning. It's good for them to wait until they get stuck. Chu Luo got on the back of the void ship. The void ship rose into the sky, broke through the void, escaped into the cracks in space and disappeared. Chapter 11. In the dark space turbulence. The huge void warship crossed quickly. On the warship, Chu Luo sat alone on the bow and began to practice. He stayed up all night last night and studied the top techniques of the Forbidden Sect all night long. Taboo primordial origin. Rely on the understanding that is filled by the system. Chu Luo has comprehended the Forbidden primordial origin technique to the third level. We are about to break through the bottleneck of the third level and enter the fourth level. Buzz. Chu Luo concentrated and held her breath, and golden stars appeared on her body. A unique Taoist charm spread out from Chu Luo's body. At this time, a group of disciples on the warship were also attracted by the scene. Senior brother Chu has actually mastered our Forbidden primordial origin technique to the third level. Amazing! Isn't that right? I've been stuck on the second level for more than 10 years, and now I've just touched a bottleneck. Hey? No, senior brother Chu seems to be comprehending the fourth level of the technique. This isn't possible. It doesn't look like it to me, the Taboo Primordial Origin technique only has 10 levels in total. I heard that our senior brother Bai was only on the 3rd level before retreating. Senior brother Chu is just practicing. There is no doubt that he is practicing, but senior brother Chu is a person who has successfully practiced the 4 forbidden secret arts. With senior brother Chu's understanding, it is only a matter of time before he reaches the 4th level. More than a dozen core disciples started discussing. And behind these disciples, Zhao Sheng and Qin Yi have been secretly paying attention to Chu Luo. I didn't expect that this boy Chu Luo's understanding is so high. The bottleneck of the 3rd level of his Taboo Primordial Origin technique is full and he is starting to attack the 4th level. We have all been wrong about this kind of understanding before. Qin Yi's eyes fell behind Chu Luo and he exclaimed. With his cultivation level, it is natural to see that Chu Luo is trying to break through the technique. Zhao Sheng on the side looked at Chu Luo, his eyes flickering and his expression complex. Yesterday, Chu Luo defeated Han Wujia, and he also heard about it. He never thought that Chu Luo could leapfrog and defeat Han Wujia on the Tianjiao list. Save face for their Taboo Sect. Although Chu Luo did do a lot of bad things before. But Zhao Sheng had to admit it. Chu Luo is already qualified enough to become the genius of their forbidden sect. Boom! Suddenly, a powerful wave spread out from Chu Luo's body. Immediately afterwards, the golden light rising from his body turned into beating golden runes, lingering around him. As Chu Luo opened his eyes, these beating runes formed a golden halo behind him, like a divine ring. Break! Chu Luo formed a seal with his hands and groaned. Boom! The next moment, the dozen or so core disciples present all turned pale in horror. They felt that Chu Luo was running his skills, frantically absorbing the thin spiritual power in the turbulent space. This terrifying suction force also made everyone aware of it. Chu Luo has broken through the 4th level of the technique. Hiss, senior brother Chu actually broke through to the 4th level of the technique, is he still a human? Dear me, I feel like senior brother Chu's breakthrough to the 4th level of the technique is as easy as drinking water. But didn't senior brother Chu successfully break through the technique? What is he doing now? A group of core disciples felt the pulling force released from Chu Luo's body. Both shocked and full of doubts. This boy! You actually want to attack the Divine Soul Realm? Spatial turbulence and spiritual power are scarce, this kid is so stupid. Zhao Sheng immediately saw through Chu Luo's intention and cursed inwardly angrily. Zhao Sheng guessed right, Chu Luo was indeed attacking the Divine Soul Realm. Originally, Chu Luo also noticed that the spiritual energy in the turbulent flow of space was thin, which was not conducive to breakthrough. But he has reached a bottleneck in his cultivation and can't hold it in any longer. Chu Luo used his skills to the extreme, frantically searching for the thin spiritual energy around him. Hiss, damn, it's over. In case the breakthrough fails, you can only use the calf protection value to break through. Chu Luo felt a headache. He also wants to accumulate calf protection points and exchange them for immortality. Just when Chu Luo had a headache and was about to use his calf protection value to break through, Zhao Sheng frowned, stood up and muttered, Elder Qin, let's give this kid a helping hand. Qin Yi was stunned, glanced at Zhao Sheng in surprise, and then laughed, good. Buzz. Zhao Sheng and Qin Yi waved their hands. Countless spiritual stones flew out from the Naja in the hands of the two men and landed next to Chu Luo. See the spiritual stones piling up. Chu Luo was stunned and turned around to see Zhao Sheng and Qin Yi releasing spiritual stones continuously. What a surprise! Boy, what are you doing so stupidly? Breakthrough! Zhao Sheng cursed angrily. Thank you two elders. A warm current flowed through Chu Luo's heart, and she bowed to the two of them. Then his eyes narrowed and he activated the technique. Buzz! Under the horrified eyes of everyone, the spiritual stones all over the ground were instantly drained of their spiritual energy and turned into powder. Two elders, continue, it's not enough. Chu Luo frantically refined spiritual energy and reminded the two elders. This kid wants so much spiritual energy to attack the Divine Soul Realm? What a freak! Zhao Sheng couldn't help but be horrified when he saw the fans all over the floor. The two of them have released more than 1 million high-grade spiritual stones. The dozen or so core disciples were stunned at this moment. Chu Luo actually absorbed the spiritual energy of millions of spiritual stones. How deep is his foundation? With abundant spiritual energy, Chu Luo looked up to the sky and roared, break, boom. A state of divine soul. The second realm of soul. In full view of the public, Chu Luo not only broke through the shackles, he also broke through to the second level of spiritual cultivation in one breath. The core disciples were completely numb. They remembered Chu Luo, who just broke through 5 small realms yesterday. Break through the divine soul realm today. And it was upgraded twice in a row. What a monster! Thank you, second elder. Thank you, fourth elder. Chu Luo restrained his power and bowed respectfully to Zhao Sheng and Qin Yi. Zhao Sheng curled his lips and said angrily, "Thank you, I don't need it. Just don't come to my medicine field in the future. By the way, remember to return the spirit stone to me." The corner of Chu Luo's mouth twitched, then he grinned, shrugged, and said, "Sure. Second elder, you can ask my master for it." Zhao Sheng's face was gloomy, and he turned around and entered the cabin. Looking at Zhao Sheng's back, Chu Luo was still grateful. "Ha ha ha. Boy, don't mind, the second elder is just telling the truth. How could he care about this spiritual stone?" Qin Yi joked. Chu Luo nodded, silently remembering the kindness between the two of them today. Now, Chu Luo suddenly found that he didn't seem to hate Zhao Sheng so much. Just as the two of them were talking, the void warship trembled and sailed away from the space. As soon as the warship came out, Chu Luo then saw a vast and magnificent building complex. Palaces with red walls and gold tiles tower into the clouds and are built against the mountains. Between the palaces, flying figures come and go. And under this huge mountain, several endless spiritual fields came into Chu Luo's eyes. In the spiritual field, elixirs of various grades exude a faint light. The strong medicinal power pervades the fields. Here is one of the top forces in the 3,000 Great Worlds, Dan Zone. The warship descended on the square of a palace. At this moment, in the square, a group of disciples wearing colorful mysterious robes have been waiting for a long time. Chu Luo noticed. Except for the familiar ancient sage Kingdon, there was also an old man with white hair whom he had never seen before. But what interested Chu Luo even more was, this group of Dan Sect disciples was led by a young boy. The young man seemed to notice Chu Luo's gaze and raised his head instantly. Their eyes collided. A look of hostility and unwillingness appeared on the young man's eyes and face. Chu Luo was stunned for a moment, wondering if this guy was seriously ill. Chapter 12. Where did you offend this guy? The other party looked at him with a dissatisfied look on his face. It's the disciples of the Forbidden Sect who are here. The Forbidden Sect actually sent out more than a dozen core disciples. Look, that young man should be the direct disciple who was newly promoted to the Tianjiao list yesterday, Chu Luo, right? Hiss, I heard that his master is the ancient sage of the Crow from the Forbidden Sect. No wonder, I heard that the ancient sage of the Crow has broken through the Great Emperor. The Great Emperor's personal disciple, tisk, tisk, tisk. The disciples of the Dan Sect fell on Chu Luo and began to whisper. Everyone looked at Chu Luo with eyes full of envy. Chu Luo smiled helplessly. A day ago he was unknown. Now everyone knows. The young man headed by Dan Zong heard the whispers of the junior brothers around him. He frowned and looked at Chu Luo with an even more unhappy look. Chu Luo glanced at the young man who was unhappy with him. Then he led a group of core disciples and followed the two elders to the square. Hey! Why are you two fellow deists? The great emperor is not here. The ancient sage Kingdon came forward with a group of disciples, but did not see the great emperor of the Dark Crow. He was slightly startled and confused. Qin Yi cupped his hands and explained, Kingdon fellow deist, the third elder has something to do and cannot come, so I and the second elder will take his place. Ancestor Kingdon suddenly understood and nodded slightly. That old guy from Crow is out. I didn't expect that he would also step into the realm of the great emperor. I heard that he is going to lead the team, and I want to have a discussion with him. It seems I can only find a chance next time. At this time, another white-haired old man wearing a colorful mysterious robe came up from behind the Dan Sect disciples. All the disciples of the Alchemy Sect gave way one after another and showed great respect to him. Chu Luo was stunned. He couldn't sense any breath from this old man. Exploring with spiritual thoughts, it is as if the other party does not exist at all. But from what the old man called himself just now, Chu Luo learned that this old man, like his master, was a supreme great emperor. I've seen Yaming great emperor. When the two elders Zhao Sheng and Qin Yi saw great emperor Yao Ming, they bowed their hands and saluted. It turns out he is Yaming great emperor. Chu Luo exclaimed in her heart and looked at Yaming great emperor curiously. Yaming, the great emperor, was famous in the 3,000 great worlds 10,000 years ago. It's just that Yaming, great emperor, was promoted from ancient sage to great emperor. He lives in seclusion and rarely cares about worldly affairs. But in the 3,000 great worlds, his deeds are still spread. The eyes of the two elders Zhao Shang flickered. The Dan sect dispatched Yaming great emperor, which shows the importance of the two lost elixir recipes to the Dan sect. Yaoming great emperor showed a kind smile and his eyes fell on Chu Luo. There is a unique halo in the eyes. Little guy, are you the crow's personal disciple? Yaoming great emperor suddenly asked. Chu Luo immediately came back to his senses, nodded and said, yes, Junior Chu Luo. Yaoming great emperor's eyes narrowed slightly, and he was filled with surprise. Because at this moment, he wanted to see through everything about Chu Luo. But he found that he couldn't see through Chu Luo. All Chu Luo's secrets were obscured by a supreme force. Even if he forced the deduction, he would definitely be counterattacked by this powerful force. Yaoming great emperor didn't know that this supreme power came from Chu Luo's system. The system took the initiative to cover up all Chu Luo's secrets. Little friend Chu, your talent is amazing, it's not easy. No wonder that old guy from Crow would accept you as his disciple. During this trip to the secret realm, I, a disciple of the alchemy sect, will ask you to take care of me. After you enter the secret realm, you will all obey the command of this little friend Chu. The great emperor Yaming came back to his senses, smiled kindly, and then told the disciples of the alchemy sect present. Yes, ancestor. All the core disciples of Dan sect nodded in agreement. Only the young man at the head had a look of dissatisfaction on his face. The corners of Chu Luo's mouth twitched slightly, and she cupped her hands and said, Senior Great Emperor, juniors can only say, do your best. Your words are enough. Yaoming Great Emperor smiled slightly, stepped forward and patted Chu Luo on the shoulder. This scene made the dozen or so core disciples of the Forbidden Sect admire Chu Luo more and more. Even Great Emperor Yaoming is so optimistic about senior brother Chu. Ancestor, this disciple has a request, please allow me, at this time. The leading young man stood up, bowed his head and said. Yaoming Great Emperor was stunned and noticed the look on the young man's face. He glanced at Chu Luo, raised the corners of his mouth slightly, and said, what's the matter? Ancestor, this disciple would like to compete with this talented person from the Forbidden Sect who has just made the list. The disciple originally planned to challenge Han Wuja and replace him in the ranking, but he didn't expect to let this fellow deist from the Forbidden Sect take the lead. Therefore, I want to compete with him and see if this talented person who just made the list has the real ability to lead us. Dan Chenzi, what are you kidding about? You can't beat Chu Luo's opponent. The ancient sage Kingdon looked angry and stood up and scolded. Yesterday, he watched the whole battle between Chu Luo and Han Wuja. Han Wuja even used the holy body, and was defeated by Chu Luo. Elder, this disciple is not messing around. I heard that Chu Luo is only in the Wuobei realm, and my disciple just wants to confirm whether he has the ability to lead us. Dan Chenzi glanced at Chu Luo and cupped his hands. Dan Chenzi's words made all the disciples of the Forbidden Sect show playful smiles. The senior brother Chu Luo they have today is not the senior brother Chu Luo yesterday. Dan Chenzi, I'm afraid he doesn't know that his senior brother Chu Luo broke through to the Divine Soul realm just now, right? Thinking of this, all the core disciples started looking forward to it. I wish Dan Chenzi would challenge Chu Luo. And Chu Luo learned that this young man's name was Dan Chenzi, and he instantly understood why the other party was always dissatisfied with him. Dan Chenzi is the only talented person in Danzong. Ranked 151st, his cultivation level is the same as that of Han Wuja. The fifth realm of Divine Soul. This guy obviously doesn't want to obey him. The Dan sect disciples behind Dan Chenzi couldn't help but get excited. They also want to see what the strength of Chu Luo, who is newly promoted to the heavenly ranking, is. Is it really as powerful as the rumors say? Hee. Little friend Chu, it seems that Dan Chenzi is dissatisfied with you. What do you think? Yaoming Great Emperor smiled slightly and looked at Chu Luo. Obviously, Great Emperor Yaming was also interested and acquiesced to Dan Chenzi's challenge. Seeing this, Zhao Sheng, Qin Yi and Ancient Sage Kingdon all chose to shut up. Chu Luo had a troubled look on his face, cupped his hands and said, Senior Great Emperor, if this junior takes action, he will be killed or injured. I'm afraid that if this junior misses. Hearing this, Dan Chenzi frowned and felt anger rising in his heart. He thought that Chu Luo was afraid of losing to him, so he deliberately said this to make him retreat in spite of the difficulties. And what made him even more angry was, according to what Chu Luo meant, he was no match for him. Snort. There is no need to worry, fellow Deist Chu. If I accidentally die in your hands, it will be because my skills are inferior to others. Don't worry, our Dan sect will not make things difficult for you. Dan Chenzi said with a cold face. At this time, Great Emperor Yao Ming also said, little friend Chu, there is no need to worry. If there is danger, I will take action to stop it. You can just take action boldly. That's okay. Seeing that Yao Ming and the Great Emperor had said so, Chu Luo could no longer refuse. It seems that I can only defeat him. Chu Luo walked to the open field, with a look of helplessness on his face, stretched out a finger, ticked Dan Chenzi, and said, Brother Dan, take action. This provocative action caused Dan Chenzi's blood pressure to spike instantly, and his face became gloomy. A spiritual sword appeared in the palm of my hand. Brother Chu, please enlighten me. Boom. Chapter 13. Dan Chenzi's body trembled slightly. A powerful spiritual force was suppressed from his body. The violent wind blew up and everyone almost lost their feet. What a strong spiritual power! No wonder Dan Chenzi is ranked 1 behind Han Wuzhe, his strength is almost as strong as Han Wuzhe. Well, indeed, but well, he shouldn't be a match for senior brother Chu. Of course. A dozen disciples of the Taboo Sect sensed the power coming from Dan Chenzi and began to discuss. Brother Dan, come on! And all the disciples of Dan Zong cheered for Dan Chenzi. Even Zhao Sheng and Qin Yi couldn't help but light up their eyes and nod secretly. This kid's talent is really good. Look at the sword. Buzz! Dan Chenzi shouted coldly and took a step forward. The figure disappeared instantly. In an instant, a vague figure appeared in front of Chu Luo. A spiritual sword wrapped in spiritual power stabbed towards Chu Luo's chest. Chu Luo was surprised by Dan Chenzi's speed. As expected, no one who can be on the list of geniuses has trouble. Chu Luo's speed was not slow either. He dodged Dan Chenzi's sword by turning sideways. Boom! A ray of sword light shot out from the spirit's sword, shattering the ground in the square not far away. Dan Chenzi swung his sword continuously and slashed at Chu Luo. But every one of his swords was dodged by Chu Luo. Senior brother Chu, why don't you fight back? More than a dozen Taboo Sect disciples were all puzzled. When Chu Luo and Han Wuzhe fought, it was not like this. Chu Luo heard the doubts of his junior brothers. I couldn't help but murmur in my heart. The moment he takes action, it's a forbidden move. Can you stop Dan Chenzi in front of you? What if I am not careful and beat him to death by mistake? My master is not here. Buzz! It was another sharp sword, but Chu Luo easily dodged it. Dan Chenzi was sullen and said coldly, Chu Luo, can you only hide? Hearing this, Chu Luo grinned, shook his head slightly and said, Brother Dan, use your full strength. If you don't use your full strength, I'm really afraid of beating you to death. Hiss, so arrogant. Senior brother Dan, please satisfy him. Senior brother Dan, show your true strength and make him regret it. The dozen or so core disciples of the Dan sect who were watching the battle were also angered by Chu Luo's words. How arrogant! It's as if he can crush senior brother Dan. Dan Chenzi's veins popped out at this moment, and he said angrily, Good. Chu Luo, if that's the case, then I will satisfy you, boom. Dan Chenzi jumped up and stepped into the air. A force full of vitality soared into the sky from him. Under this power, thick tree vines suddenly emerged from the ground and stabbed Chu Luo. Chu Luo was slightly startled and evaded again and again. These vines seem to be conscious and are chasing after them. It's a wood spirit body. I heard that Dan Chenzi from the Dan sect is pregnant with a wood spirit body. The rumors are indeed true. A core disciple of the Forbidden Sect said with a solemn expression. Hiss, senior brother Dan has used his spiritual body. If Chu Luo doesn't take action, he will be defeated. Hey, make him crazy. Look, senior brother Dan. Is he going to use that trick? At this moment, the expression of the Dan sect disciple who was familiar with Dan Chenzi suddenly changed. Staring closely at Dan Chenzi's figure in mid-air, I saw Dan Chenzi forming seals with his hands. A complicated seal appeared in his palm. The spiritual sword suspended in front of him exudes green light. Strange green runes jumped and entangled on the sword. Call out! Buzz! Dan Chenzi raised his finger to the sky, and the spiritual sword soared into the sky and escaped into the clouds. Immediately afterwards, a powerful force enveloped all directions and whipped up strong winds. Everyone noticed that the trees on Danzong Mountain were swaying crazily. At some point, green leaves were flying all over the sky. Every leaf exudes green light and contains the power of a sword. Boom! The sky is full of green leaves, rising with the wind and flowing into the clouds. Dan Chenzi's eyes flashed with green light, and he lowered his eyes and looked down. A terrifying force is brewing from the depths of the sky. I didn't expect this little guy to be able to practice this move to such an extent. Even great Emperor Yaoming couldn't help but look up and nodded in praise. Boom! Chu Luo used his backhand to crush the vines chasing him. As if sensing something, he suddenly raised his head and raised the corners of his mouth. Chu Luo! Are you qualified to use this move? Sen Luo Jianqing. Dan Chenzi looked up to the sky and roared, then waved his finger at Chu Luo below. Boom! Everyone present saw a huge sword that covered the sky and the sun, swinging open the cloud curtain. It's as if it comes from all over the world, mighty and suppressing, coming down. On top of the shadow of the giant sword, set off by green leaves, everything is dense. The mighty sword intent cleanses the heaven and earth, falling down to the 9 heavens. It's like this sword can suppress demons and destroy the world. Unstoppable. The disciples of the two sects at the scene were all shocked and their expressions changed drastically. Well done! Come and fight, boom! Chu Luo laughed loudly and jumped up. At this moment, his fighting spirit was completely ignited by Dan Chenzi's sword. The next moment, everyone saw a powerful spiritual power rising into the sky from Chu Luo. Chu Luo formed a seal with his hands, and his eyes glowed with faint golden light. Buzzing! In an instant, the world changed drastically, and the entire sky was instantly shrouded in darkness. This kid! Forbidden secrets! The great Emperor Yaoming was also stunned, as if he saw something, with a look of surprise on his face. Zhao Sheng, Qin Yi and the core disciples of the Forbidden Sect were all stunned. Everyone also realized that Chu Luo was using a forbidden secret skill. But they had not seen the vision caused by this forbidden secret skill yesterday. In other words, their senior brother Chu is using a very new taboo move. This kid, how many of the sect's forbidden secrets has he learned? Elder Qin Yi couldn't help but said in shock. Zhao Sheng also took a deep breath and shook his head slightly. You know, even he has only learned 3 sects' forbidden secrets. These 3 forbidden secrets have now become his trump cards for victory. One can imagine how difficult it is to learn the forbidden skills. This kid has used 5 forbidden skills yesterday and now. Boom! Under the shocked eyes of everyone. Behind Chu Luo, a vast vision of the heavens and realms rose up. In the vision, the stars and rivers rotate, the sun and the moon alternate, spring goes and autumn comes, the tide rises and falls, the world changes. A force filled with the aura of eternity gathered from the vision. In an instant, in the vision, an illusory golden sword shadow appeared, suppressing it. The moment this sword shadow appeared, even the heaven and earth were eclipsed by it. The eternal sky-destroying sword. Seeing this scene, Zhao Sheng and Qin Yi couldn't help but exclaimed. They didn't expect that Chu Luo could even learn this trick. Thousands of years ago, they only saw a certain ancestor of the Forbidden Sect perform it once. The ancestor's sword back then. The top forces in the entire 3000 Great World were eclipsed. The power of the sword used by Chu Luo now is far less powerful than that of their ancestor back then. But it still shocked the two elders. The forbidden secret skill, the eternal sky-cutting sword. Go! Go! Chu Luo and Dan Chenzi pointed at the same time. The shadows of 2 giant swords collided brazenly. Boom! The next moment, Dan Chenzi's face turned pale. What? How can this be? Chapter 14. Under Dan Chenzi's disbelieving gaze. I saw only the phantom of his huge sword that contained all kinds of things. At the moment when it collided with the shadow of Chu Luo's golden giant sword, it was directly broken into countless fragments and disappeared. Pfft! Dan Chenzi suffered a backlash and a mouthful of blood spurted out. However, the golden giant sword phantom smashed into Dan Chenzi's giant sword phantom. Still riding a powerful force, he came straight towards him to suppress him. And it's extremely fast. Dan Chenzi's pupils shrank suddenly, and a look of despair appeared on his stunned face. Oops! Chu Luo's expression changed drastically at this time. He didn't expect Dan Chenzi's sword. So vulnerable. Once the forbidden ultimate move is used, he cannot take it back. Because once he takes action, the ultimate move is out of his control. Brother Dan! All the disciples of Dan Zong screamed. Some female disciples even covered their eyes. Just when everyone thought that Dan Chenzi would definitely die, a majestic figure suddenly appeared in front of Dan Chenzi. Seeing this figure, Chu Luo breathed a sigh of relief. Ancestor! Dan Zongzi exclaimed. The person in front of me is the great Emperor Yaoming. Yaoming Great Emperor stretched out a wrinkled finger. Tap lightly on the phantom of the golden sword suppressed in front of you. Buzz! An invisible wave washed out from the fingertips. The next moment, the huge golden sword phantom turned into little stars and disappeared. Seeing this scene, everyone felt relieved. Immediately, Dan Chenzi and Chu Luo returned to the ground. The dozen or so disciples of the Forbidden Sect immediately burst into cheers. Little friend Chu is indeed extraordinary. With you leading the disciples of our sect, I feel relieved. Yaoming Great Emperor smiled slightly, looked at Chu Luo and nodded. He he. Chu Luo smiled politely, but murmured in her heart. You are relieved. The move he just made cost him more than 100 years of life. These more than 100 years of life should not have been lost. It's all because of this old man's troubles. Yaoming Great Emperor waved his hand as soon as he finished speaking. A bottle of elixir flew out and was thrown to Chu Luo. That move you just made cost you a lot of life, didn't it? Forbidden skills, you have to pay a price for using them. Chu Luo caught the medicine bottle and opened it to take a look. A round pill with a faint light appeared in his eyes. Thank you, Senior Great Emperor. Chu Luo showed her 8 big white teeth and thanked her. Take this elixir on the spot. The 100 years of life he just lost has gradually recovered. Seeing that the lifespan he had lost was made up for, Chu Luo suddenly felt that this old man Yaoming was also a very nice person. Little guy, now you know how powerful little friend Chu is. Do you still think that Chu Xiaowu is not qualified to lead you? Yaoming Great Emperor turned to look at Dan Chenzi who was in a daze, and spoke earnestly. Dan Chenzi came back to his senses, took a deep breath, cupped his fists and said, Disciple realizes his mistake. Brother Chu, I have offended you so much before. My junior brothers and I will listen to your command during the trip to the secret realm. But next time when my strength improves, I will challenge you again. I hope I can block Brother Chu's move next time. Dan Chenzi walked up to Chu Luo, cupped his hands, and sincerely apologized. Seeing this, Great Emperor Yaoming and ancient sage Qing Dan were both overjoyed. Although Dan Chenzi was defeated, he did not lose Martial Dao's heart. Dare to face failure. This child will definitely be extraordinary in the future. Brother Dan, you're welcome. Next time Brother Dan comes to ask for advice, I will definitely hold back. I won't almost let Brother Dan fall like today. Chu Luo smiled faintly, and also cupped his hands to Dan Chenzi. Ha ha ha. My skills are inferior to others, no wonder Brother Chu. Dan Chenzi also smiled. Seeing this scene, the disciples of both sects smiled. It's getting late. I'll leave soon. Yaoming Great Emperor nodded slightly, glanced at the sky, and said. Yes. The 2 disciples boarded the void warship. With a wave of his hand, Zhao Shang tore apart the space, sailed the warship into the crack in space, and headed towards the Biwen realm. Because the land of Northern Plains is a realm on the edge of the 3,000 Great Worlds, Chu Luo and his group took a warship and travelled for a full month before reaching the Biwen realm. Biwen Boundary, Huangtian State. Lushan Mountain Stream. Lushan Mountain Stream is one of the several Jedi in the 3,000 Great World. There are many dangers in the depths of Lushan Mountain, and even saints would not dare to go deep alone easily. In ancient times, it was said that Lushan Mountain Stream was originally an ancient battlefield. There was a huge Imperial war. Legend has it that the Great Emperor fell here. The current Lushan Mountain Stream was formed after that Imperial war. After the vicissitudes of life and the changes of time, it was formed. At this time, it fell into the void of Tian Shan Mountain Stream. After more than a month, the vision of heaven and earth gradually dimmed and faded. And in a mountain range outside Lushan Mountain Stream, a space crack appeared, exuding powerful aura fluctuations. This crack is covered with a milky white light film. Through the light film, you can see behind the cracks in space that there is a mysterious world. This space crack is the entrance to the Great Emperor's secret realm. At this time, outside the entrance to the secret realm, strong men from various forces in the 3,000 great worlds, as well as sect disciples, had already gathered. According to the on-site inspection by experts, the entrance to the secret realm will soon be stable. Buzz. Just when a group of strong men were standing outside the secret realm, waiting for the entrance to be stable. Above the sky, there was an invisible space fluctuation. A space crack opens. From the space rift, a huge warship sailed out. Seeing this, the strong men at the scene were already not surprised. For more than a month, sect forces have arrived every day. But after seeing this warship, the expressions of the strong men at the scene finally changed. It's the warship of the Forbidden Sect. The strong men of the Forbidden Sect have arrived. There are also disciples from the Dan Sect who are actually following the Forbidden Sect. What's so strange about this? The Dan Sect is already on good terms with the Taboo Sect. But it's strange, why did the Forbidden Sect only send 2 elders, Zhao Sheng and Qin Yi? Those personal demons from the Forbidden Sect are not here either. After a group of strong men recognized the warship, the scene caused a commotion. The eyes of countless people are focused on this warship. On the warship, Zhao Sheng, Qin Yi and the ancient sage kingdom came to the entrance of the secret realm with their disciples. As for Yaming Great Emperor, he has been hiding in secret for a long time. Is this the entrance to the Great Emperor's secret realm? It seems like it's not very stable yet. Chu Luo looked at the entrance in front of him and said. Elder Qin Yi nodded slightly and said, this secret realm is actually the inner world of the fallen Great Emperor. Being promoted to saint, martial artist can open up a world within the body. As your cultivation level improves, the world inside your body will gradually improve and expand. It's just that the Great Emperor's secret realm in front of us has been restricted and can only withstand the entry of powerful people below the Nirvana realm. Once a strong person in the Nirvana realm or above forcibly enters, the ban will be triggered and the intruder will be obliterated. Eventually the secret realm will return to space turbulence. The next time I appear in this world, I don't know that I will have to wait until the year of the monkey and the moon. After hearing Elder Qin Yi's explanation, Chu Luo and the disciples suddenly realized. No wonder the light film at the entrance gives them a numb scalp feeling. Buzz. At this time, multiple space rumblings were heard again in the distant void. Chu Luo was stunned and felt a familiar aura. He looked up at the void in a certain direction, frowned, and sneered. Chapter 15. The spatial fluctuations coming from the void. Once again, countless strong men present raised their heads. I saw several spatial cracks opening in the void. Several huge void warships suppressed and came out. Seeing the flag raised on the warship, everyone exclaimed again. It's the strong men from other top forces who are here. Crimson Flame Valley, Tianji Pavilion, Lingqing Sect, Puhua Holy Land, Yunmiao Holy Land, Zhiwang Dao Lineage, and Immortal Dao Lineage. Hey? It's strange, why don't we see people from the 4 great emperor clans and the 4 great ancient families? Isn't it strange that the 4 great emperor clans and the 4 great ancient families disdain the great emperor's secret realm? This secret realm is just the inner world after the death of the great emperor. This great emperor no longer exists, has no inheritance, and is not the great emperor's mausoleum. Naturally, they don't bother to come. Chu Luo looked at the several warships arriving in the sky, his eyes flickering. The top forces of the 3,000 great worlds, except for the Forbidden Sect, the Dan Sect, and the Red Flame Valley. There are also Tianji Pavilion, Lingqing Sect, Puhua Holy Land, Yunmiao Holy Land, Zhiwang Dao Lineage, Immortal Dao Lineage, Shangguan Emperor Clan, Ouyang Emperor Clan, Situ Emperor Clan, Murong Emperor Clan, Huangguya Family, Huangguzhang Family, Huangguang Family, the Huangguji Family, as well as the Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan, a total of 19 top forces. The 4 great Emperor Clan, the 4 great ancient families, and the Dragon and Phoenix Clan, have always been mysterious and rarely come into the world. Chu Luo glanced at the warships of these top forces. It was found that every top force dispatched at least 2 ancient saints, multiple great saints, and a group of young disciples. At this moment, Chu Luo suddenly noticed a murderous intention. Subconsciously looking at the warship in Red Flame Valley. On the warship, Chu Luo saw 2 familiar faces. Ancient Sage Yanjun and Han Wuzhe. At this moment, Ancient Sage Yanjun and Han Wuzhe were looking at him, their eyes filled with cold murderous intent. It's this little beast from the Forbidden Sect. Ancient Sage Yanjun's face was gloomy and his eyes were condensed. Boom! An invisible force rushed towards Chu Luo instantly. FK! This old man is immortal. Chu Luo's hair stood on end instantly, and she cursed in her heart. He didn't expect that this old guy, ancient sage Yan Jun, who had no martial ethics, would dare to attack him secretly. Snort, boom! Old ghost Yan Jun, do you want to die? Dare to take action against my forbidden sect disciples? I haven't done anything for many years. How about you and I doing a couple of tricks today? Just when the power of ancient sage Yan Jun attacks in secret. A familiar voice came to Chu Luo's ears. Immediately afterwards, a figure stood in front of him. This figure is Zhao Sheng. Zhao Sheng snorted coldly, directly dispelling the power of ancient sage Yan Jun. Zhao Sheng's face was cold, and his turbid eyes stared straight at Yan Jun and the ancient saints. At the same time, Qin Yi also stood up, pointed at ancient sage Yan Jun and cursed, "Old ghost Yan Jun, a majestic ancient sage, actually secretly attacked a junior. Don't you like to take action? Come on, I will fight with you." At this moment, the movement here instantly attracted the attention of the whole audience. Countless powerful people were shocked. Scarlet Flame Valley and the Forbidden Sect have nothing to deal with, and everyone knows that. Normally, the conflict between Scarlet Flame Valley and the Forbidden Sect is only between the younger generation. But no one expected that ancient sage Yan Jun would take action against the disciples of the Forbidden Sect today. The other top powerhouses were also particularly surprised. His eyes fell on Chu Luo, who was protected by Zhao Sheng and Qin Yi. Who is this guy? Why did Yan Jun Gusheng not hesitate to take action when provoked? Tisk, tisk, tisk. Scarlet Flame Valley is so shameless, an ancient saint actually secretly attacked senior brother Chu. Isn't that right? That day, this old guy took that rubbish Han Wuji to challenge our forbidden sect. He was not as good as others and was defeated by senior brother Chu. He still holds a grudge. Haha. Scarlet Flame Valley has always been so shameless from top to bottom. The dozen or so core disciples behind Chu Luo all defended Chu Luo and began to mock him privately. Although the taunts of these disciples were very quiet, they were still heard by many powerful men. It turns out that young man is the new genius of the Forbidden Sect who replaced Han Wuji a month ago. No wonder. I remember that boy's name is Chu Luo. But why did ancient sage Yan Jun take action in the fight between the juniors? Who knows, there must be something we don't know about. But no matter what ancient sage Yan Jun said just now is indeed a bit shameless. The voices of some strong men present were heard by ancient sage Yan Jun. Ancient sage Yan Jun's face was gloomy. When Zhao Sheng and Qin Yi met their eyes, their expressions changed and they smiled. Old ghost Zhao Sheng, old ghost Qin Yi, this sage just sees this boy Chu Luo. He seems to have improved in strength. I just want to give him a try. I don't want to hurt him. As soon as the Yan Jun ancient sage said these words, some of the top powerhouses at the scene curled their lips. Even Chu Luo called this old immortal shameless in his heart. However, Chu Luo felt happy at this moment. The moment the two elders, Zhao Sheng and Qin Yi, stood up, a prompt came from his system. CAF protection value from Elder Zhao Sheng plus 5000 CAF protection value from Elder Qin Yi plus 5000 Hehe. Is it? After hearing the words of ancient sage Yan Jun, Zhao Sheng and Qin Yi sneered. Boom! The next moment, the two ancient sages and elders slapped the ancient sage Yan Jun directly from the air. Buzz! In an instant, the sky and the earth turned pale, and the huge rolling holy power enveloped the entire place. Under the terrifying pressure of the two ancient saints, all the powerful men under the ancient saints present knelt down on the spot. The expressions of the other ancient saints from the top forces changed slightly. He immediately released his holy power and offset the pressure from the two elders. This made the strong men of his sect breathe a sigh of relief. Boom! Regarding Zhao Sheng and Qin Yi's sudden attack, ancient sage Yan Jun was caught off guard, his face changed drastically, and he was extremely ugly. But he quickly reacted and struck out with a palm. An old man in red robe beside him also took action immediately. This old man is another elder in Scarlet Flame Valley. Ancient Saint of Dark Flame. Four powerful forces collided and exploded with astonishing power. The void worship in Red Flame Valley was shattered on the spot. Several saints and great saints from Scarlet Flame Valley waved their hands, and rolled up the disciples of Scarlet Flame Valley and landed safely. After the blow, Ancient Sage Yan Jun and Ancient Sage Minjian both took half a step back. Their eyes were filled with overwhelming anger. Hee hee. How about it? I think you, an old ghost, have improved a bit in strength. The two of us just want to give you a try. Don't be angry. Elder Zhao Sheng sneered. CAF protection value from Elder Zhao Sheng plus 5,000 CAF protection value from Elder Qin Yi plus 5,000. After the two elders took action, Chu Luo's system sent a prompt. Chu Luo was so dumbfounded by laughter. I wish the ancient sage Yanjun would target him again. He looked at the two elders at the same time, feeling warm in his heart. Your forbidden sect, don't you want to start a war with our Red Flame Valley? Ancient sage Yanjun looked as ugly as if he had eaten shit and said angrily. Snort. Since you said that, the two of us will kill you two old ghosts today to add to the fun. It might as well give you Scarlet Flame Valley an excuse to start a war. Qin Yi sneered, tied up his sleeves, and there was a spiritual sword in his hand. In Zhao Sheng's hand, a small bronze cauldron appeared. The spiritual weapons in the hands of the two exude a powerful charm. Ice-cold murderous intent enveloped the area thousands of miles away, and the temperature of heaven and earth dropped sharply. Everyone looked horrified and in disbelief. The battle between the ancient saints is about to break out. Chapter 16. The world at the scene was filled with the aura of killing. Looking at the two ancient saints Zhao Sheng and Qin Yi, their bodies were filled with overwhelming power. The strong men present were both horrified and extremely envious of the disciples of the Forbidden Sect. It is said that the Taboo Sect is more protective. But no one expected that the Taboo Sect would protect Duzi to such an extent. In order to protect their disciples, the sect elders did not hesitate to fight. He even doesn't hesitate to cause a sect war. Let's fight, I'm afraid you won't succeed, boom. The faces of ancient sage Yanjun and ancient sage Minjian became extremely unnatural. None of them expected it. These two old guys from the Forbidden Sect are actually so powerful. I never expected that things would develop to this point. The two of them clenched their silver teeth and burst out with overwhelming power. In front of so many strong men, if they retreat. The 3,000 powerful people in the great world all thought that they in Scarlet Flame Valley were afraid of the Forbidden Sect. Just when everyone thought that the war between the ancient saints was about to break out. An old man wearing a blue mysterious robe with a kind face stood up and said with a smile, "Two fellow deists of the Forbidden Sect, since this little friend is not injured. The two fellow deists of Scarlet Flame Valley also took a hit from you, so let's forget it like this. There are many powerful people here. Once the battle between the ancient saints breaks out, innocent people will definitely be hurt. When the time comes, a larger war will be involved, which will also be a disaster for the 3,000 great worlds. Moreover, the entrance to the Great Emperor's secret realm is about to be stabilized." Chu Luo looked up and found that the old man who spoke was from the Lingqing sect. He is an ancient sage elder of Lingqing sect. Yes, several fellow deists and Lanqing fellow deist are right. Let's put aside the grievances between the two major forces for the time being. After the Great Emperor's secret realm, you can do whatever you want. An ancient sage from the Supreme Emperor Dao lineage also stood up and tried to persuade him. Hee hee. Old Ghost Lanqing, you Lingqing sect and Qi Yangu wear the same pair of underpants. If I hadn't taken action in time before, Chu Luo, the genius of our Forbidden Sect, would have been harmed by the ancient sage Yanjun, this old immortal. You have the nerve to say that. Elder Zhao Sheng glanced at ancient sage Lanqing of Lingqing sect, his eyes were cold and unkind. But he immediately changed his voice, dissipating his power and saying, "But fellow deist of Lingkong from the Supreme Emperor deist lineage is right. After the Great Emperor's secret realm, if you want to fight in Scarlet Flame Valley, our Forbidden Sect will accompany you to the end." Snort. Hearing this, ancient sage Yanjun and ancient sage Minjian also snorted coldly. The overwhelming power was gone. Seeing this scene, all the strong men present breathed a sigh of relief. Immediately, ancient sage Yanjun and ancient sage Minjian, together with a group of disciples from Scarlet Flame Valley, approached Lingqing sect. Chu Luo glanced at the people in Scarlet Flame Valley. Just as their eyes met, the eyes of ancient sage Yanjun and Han Wuja were looking over. Chu Luo grinned and raised her middle finger to them on the spot. A naked provocation. Then turned around and ignored him. This scene was also seen by many powerful people. Many people are interested in Chu Luo. Little beast. Ancient sage Yanjun's face was as gloomy as water, with murderous intent flashing in his eyes. "Junior brother Han, was this guy the one who defeated you?" It doesn't look very good either. Beside Han Wujia, stood two young men wearing red-black robes. One person's eyes were red, and it seemed like hot magma was flowing in his eyes. The other person had red hair and a burning aura coming from his body from time to time. These two teenagers are named Du Sheng and Zhao Tianyu. The two of them are also the geniuses on the genius list. The rankings on the Tianjiao list are 120 and 148 respectively. Facing the two people's tone, Han Wuji's face was gloomy. He cupped his hands and said, "Two senior brothers, that's him. His name is Chu Luo." Du Sheng and Zhao Tianyu nodded slightly and looked at Chu Luo's back, full of disdain. Du Sheng, Tianyu, don't underestimate your enemy. This little beast has mastered several forbidden secrets of the Forbidden Sect, so be careful. But the ancestor has an order to kill him no matter what. When you enter the secret realm, this is your best opportunity. Ancient sage Minjian reminded the two of them. Yes. Don't worry, elder, we will definitely let this kid die without anyone noticing. Du Sheng and Zhao Tianyu held hands. Two senior brothers, I hope this little beast will be left to me to deal with in the end. I will repay the shame he brought me 100-fold. Han Wujia said with a cold expression. The two nodded and looked at Chu Luo again, full of teasing expressions. At this moment, Chu Luo also noticed a chill and looked back again. I happened to notice the gazes of Du Sheng and Zhao Tianyu. Brother Chu, we have to be more careful after entering the secret realm. Those two are Du Sheng and Zhao Tianyu from Red Flame Valley. Ranked 120 and 148 respectively on the prodigy list. Dan Chenzi, who was beside Chu Luo, reminded him in a low voice. Chu Luo smiled slightly, waved his hand and said, "Brother Dan, don't worry. If they dare to cause trouble, I have plenty of ways to deal with them." Chu Luo had already begun to make calculations in her heart. If he were in the secret realm, he would kill all the disciples in Scarlet Flame Valley. Will Yanjun Ancient Sage and Minjian Ancient Sage become furious? The answer is yes. When the time comes, these two old guys will definitely not give up. Then wouldn't he be able to gain calf protection value again? Thinking of this, Chu Luo made up his mind. If you encounter someone from Red Flame Valley, kill them directly. Boy, after entering the secret realm, if you encounter an opportunity and you have the strength, you can fight for what you should and grab what you should. Don't be afraid even if you kill the opponent's genius, we two old guys will be there when you come out. If both of us old guys can't protect you, you can only pray that your great master, the great emperor, appears. Just when Chu Luo was in trance, Zhao Sheng turned to Chu Luo and gave serious instructions. Chu Luo was stunned, with a smile on his face, and bowed to Zhao Sheng, "Disciple, thank you, second elder. Second elder, I have offended you many times in the past, please forgive me. Next time, I won't pick up the elixirs in your medicine field." Snort. Zhao Sheng snorted lightly and turned around. Chu Luo rolled her eyes. "Yo, does this little old man still have a temper?" I sincerely apologized. But Chu Luo also understood in his heart, just as Elder Qin Yi said. Elder Zhao Sheng has a sharp mouth but a tofu heart. Buzz buzz. The entrance to the secret realm is stable. Let's go. At this time, a strong wave came from the entrance of the space crack. The light film gradually became transparent. But it still contains the power of the great emperor. Countless strong men on the scene immediately rushed into the light film. Some powerful people in the Nirvana realm and above also want to enter by force. But unexpectedly, he was strangled on the spot by the terrifying power of the light film. "Let's go in too," Chu Luo reminded. Immediately, Dan Chenzi and Dan Chenzi flew into the huge great world behind the light film. The three geniuses of Scarlet Flame Valley saw Chu Luo and the others entering the secret realm. With a sneer on his face, he followed closely with dozens of disciples from Scarlet Flame Valley. Chapter 17. Chu Luo and the others had just stepped into the light film. Suddenly, Chu Luo noticed that the scenery around him was changing rapidly. Chu Luo was stunned and subconsciously looked at the brothers beside him. He found that out of the dozen or so core disciples who originally followed him, there were only 6 left. Dan Chenzi and a dozen core disciples of Dan Sect also disappeared. In the blink of an eye, Chu Luo and these 6 core disciples were in an unfamiliar mountain range. What's going on? Where are the other senior brothers? We were scattered when we entered the secret realm entrance. The 6 core disciples looked back and discovered that the other brothers were missing. But as the core disciples of the top forces, the 6 of them did not panic and analyzed calmly. The 6 core disciples all looked at Chu Luo. A man at the head said, "Senior brother Chu, what should we do now? We listen to you." Chu Luo nodded, and was about to let several disciples use the sect tokens to contact other lost disciples. Suddenly, a strong medicinal fragrance hit my nose. Chu Luo was stunned and looked around. I discovered that there was a medicinal field under the mountains not far away. "Senior brother, it's a medicine field." "Hiss, there are so many elixirs. It seems that the quality of these elixirs is not low." The 6 core disciples also saw the medicinal field not far away and couldn't help but exclaimed, "Let's go! Come with me to search." Chu Luo waved his hand and immediately took 6 core disciples and flew to the medicine field not far away. After arriving at the medicine field, Chu Luo discovered that the lowest level of the elixirs in the medicine field was also the spiritual level. This is spiritual soil. Chu Luo sensed that the spiritual energy in the spiritual field was very rich. He frowned and squatted down to grab a handful of soil from the spiritual field. Just scream out in surprise. He is no stranger to spiritual soil. There is a tiny piece of spiritual soil on Elder Zhao Sheng's main peak. Just such a small piece of spiritual soil was regarded as a treasure by Zhao Sheng. And here, there is such a large piece of spiritual land. Ha ha ha. Senior brother Chu, we are prosperous. If such a large piece of spiritual soil is brought back to the sect, we won't have to worry about not having any magical medicine in the future. Several disciples were immediately excited. Then why are you so stunned? Hurry up and dig. Dig 3 feet into the ground, don't let me miss any spiritual soil. Chu Luo came back to his senses, his face full of excitement, and he quickly urged several disciples. Yes. The 6 disciples immediately tied up their sleeves and planned to evacuate the entire medicinal field. Ha ha ha. I didn't expect there was a medicinal field here. Hey! Someone actually got there first. Just when the 6 core disciples began to clear out the medicinal fields, they didn't even plan to let go of the land. Suddenly, several figures flew from a distance and landed in the sky above the medicine field. Chu Luo looked up and found 10 people descending from the sky. There are men and women among them, wearing uniform clothes. I think these people are all disciples from the same force. Chu Luo raised his eyes slightly, and his eyes fell on a young man at the head. Because this man's cultivation level is actually at the level of absolute beginning. As for the other 9 people, 4 of them are in the first or second level of divine soul. The remaining 5 people are all in the beginningless realm. Snort! We are disciples of the Forbidden Sect. I discovered this place first. Get out of here, boom! 6 Forbidden Sect disciples were searching the medicine field. Looking at the 10 people in the void, their faces immediately turned cold. 6 people released powerful auras at the same time. The cultivation levels of these 6 core disciples are all divine soul realm. Most of the core disciples of the Forbidden Sect are in the divine soul realm. But they couldn't enter the list of geniuses. Because some of them are hundreds of years old. The auras of the 6 divine soul realms also suppressed the arriving group of people. Forbidden Sect. When the 10 people saw the robes worn by Chu Luo and others, their expressions became uncertain. The other 9 people all looked at the young man at the head. This young man is named Lu Feng. He is the 118th ranked genius on the genius list. Tianmen Sect from 3000 Great Worlds. Although Tianmen Sect is far inferior to Taboo Sect, but it can be considered a big force in one area. Rumor has it that there is a great emperor sitting in the sect. And Lu Feng is the young master of the Tianmen Sect. Guys, get out of here. It's not easy to steal things belonging to my Taboo Sect. Even if you rob our elixir, can you take it back? Outside the entrance to the secret realm, the 2 ancient saint elders of our sect can guard you. If you don't want to bring trouble to your sect, just get out of here. Chu Luo grinned and kindly advised a few people. Young sect master. Several people from the Tianmen sect all looked at the leader, Lu Feng. Chu Luo and the others were no strangers. Previously outside the secret realm, the Forbidden Sect almost went to war with Scarlet Flame Valley just because of Chu Luo. The scene of the Taboo Sect protecting the calf was particularly memorable to them. Young sect master, that is spiritual soil. Hiss, this medicine field is actually a piece of spiritual land. Just when Lu Feng was about to give up, a Tianmen Sect disciple next to him suddenly discovered the spiritual soil exuding rich spiritual energy in the medicine field and exclaimed, Chu Luo frowned, narrowed his eyes slightly, and began to quickly form seals with his hands hidden in his sleeves. Lu Feng was stunned for a moment, and after taking a closer look, he discovered that it was actually spiritual soil. Spiritual soil is very rare and can be called a priceless treasure. He didn't expect that there was such a big area here. At this moment, Lu Feng's eyes flashed with a hint of greed. "Everyone, why don't you leave?" Chu Luo grinned, hid his hands in his sleeves and said to everyone. While speaking, Chu Luo also glanced at the 6 disciples. The 6 core disciples immediately understood and quickly searched for the elixirs and spiritual soil in the medicine field. Lu Feng had a thought and quickly made a decision. He. Walk. Those who see the spiritual soil have a share. Unless your Taboo Sect gives up half of its spiritual land. We'll leave right away. Lu Feng sneered and looked at Chu Luo. Oh. What if we say no? Chu Luo narrowed his eyes slightly and showed a harmless smile. Then you will have no choice but to die. Lu Feng's face turned cold, and a huge force was suppressed from his body. The 9 Tianmen sect disciples around him also immediately released their auras, covering the entire place. Absolute beginning. The 6 core disciples of the Taboo Sect also stopped what they were doing. Take out your weapons and prepare to face the enemy. You dare to rob our Taboo Sect? Do you think you haven't lived long enough? Chu Luo smiled faintly, and a killing intent flashed deep in his eyes. He. I know you, your name is Chu Luo, right? As long as we kill you all here, even if the Forbidden Sect protects its shortcomings, they won't know it was us. You guys go deal with those core disciples. I'll kill this kid, and then I'll help you. Lu Feng changed his voice and took a step forward in an instant, rushing towards Chu Luo. Yes, young sect master, boom. The other 9 Tianmen sect disciples immediately killed the 6 people in the medicine field. Court death. The 6 core disciples jumped up one after another to fight against the Tianmen sect disciples. And at the same time, Lu Feng's face was filled with ferociousness as he attacked Chu Luo. Chu Luo had a look of fear on his face. Seeing this, Lu Feng laughed loudly, "Boy, today the young master of Japan will remove you from the list of geniuses." Lu Feng thought Chu Luo was frightened by his power. So I let my guard down. Just as he raised his palm, he struck Chu Luo in the head. Chu Luo, who was originally terrified, suddenly changed his expression and grinned. Forbidden secret skill, God-killing heavenly poison, boom. Chapter 18. Chu Luo's eyes bloomed with faint green light. The palm hidden in the sleeve robe is stretched out brazenly. On his palm, there is an endless faint green light, wrapped with strange runes. The moment Chu Luo stretched out his palm, the weeds under his feet withered instantly. Chu Luo's palm collided with Lu Feng's palm. Boom! Chu Luo received Lu Feng's palm forcefully, and was knocked back more than 10 steps by the powerful force before he could calm down his body. There was a numbness in my arm, and my blood surged. Hiss, what a powerful force! Chu Luo took a deep breath and waved her palms. Ah! You, what did you do to me? Ah! Lu Feng's heartrending scream came. Chu Luo looked up and saw Lu Feng rolling on the ground with his arms folded. A series of strange green lines spread up along the arm. Chu Luo came to Lu Feng and looked down, revealing 8 big white teeth. A look of harmlessness. This forbidden secret skill, the God-killing heavenly poison, is activated silently. There will not be any breath fluctuations or strange phenomena. Moreover, this trick has no solution and is extremely vicious. The person who is attacked will turn into a pool of blood within 10 breaths. With his current level of cultivation, even the person who is at the peak of the absolute beginning realm will definitely die. It's simply a must-have move for Lao Liu's sneak attack. There are hundreds of other vicious and taboo moves like this among the 1,000 taboo techniques. Chu Luo was quite suspicious that the people who created these vicious skills were definitely a bunch of old men. Ah! Help me, Chu Luo, I know I was wrong. Help me detoxify quickly. Lu Feng can't mobilize his spiritual power now. The pain from his arm penetrated deep into his soul. One hand grabbed Chu Luo's shoe and begged for mercy in pain. How could he look like a young prodigy? Chu Luo spread his hands and smiled helplessly, "Sorry, I can't solve it either. Just lie down and wait to die." Chu Luo's words made Lu Feng almost despair, and his eyes were full of hatred. A ruthless look appeared on his face. The other hand grasped the poisoned arm. Pull hard. Lu Feng forcefully tore off his arm. However, the moment he pulled his arm off. The blood spurting out from the wound is not red, but green. The next moment, Lu Feng's body was covered with strange green lines. Immediately afterwards, the flesh and blood began to melt. And Lu Feng also felt regret, his consciousness gradually blurred, and his vitality disappeared. Young sect master. The 9 Tianmen sect disciples who were fighting noticed Lu Feng, who had turned into a pool of blood. Everyone was shocked. The 9 people's momentary loss of concentration also allowed the 6 core disciples to seize the opportunity. How dare you, spirit partitioning! Go to hell! Boom! Ah! 9 disciples of the Tianmen sect were killed by 6 core disciples of the Forbidden sect. Senior brother Chu. Sharp. After killing several people, 6 core disciples came to Chu Luo. When everyone saw Lu Feng turned into a pool of blood, they couldn't help but take a deep breath. The eyes she looked at Chu Luo were filled with admiration. Their senior brother Chu, with his cultivation in the second realm of Soul, actually destroyed a genius who was in the absolute beginning realm. If this spreads out, I'm afraid no one will believe it. Don't do 6 basic things. Let's hurry up, or someone will come again soon. By the way, junior brother Tang, quickly find me 2 elixirs containing vitality. Chu Luo said to one of the leading disciples. He just cast the god-killing sky poison, which actually cost him 300 years of life. Okay. This disciple entered the medicine field and quickly found 3 elixirs rich in vitality for Chu Luo. Chu Luo picked up the elixir and started chewing it. Several others continued to search for elixirs and dig up spiritual soil. The action techniques are extremely skillful. You can tell at a glance that the disciples of the Forbidden sect often do this kind of thing. Just when Chu Luo was commanding several disciples to dig up the spiritual soil, little did he know that outside the secret realm, the prodigy list appeared again. Buzz buzz. The illusory list of geniuses appears in the sky. The powerful men from all major forces waiting outside were all startled and quickly raised their heads. I only saw him on the list of geniuses. At the 118th position, the words Tianmen sect Lu Feng disappeared. Instead, the words Taboo Zone Chu dropped. Hiss, this, how is this possible? Isn't Lu Feng of Tianmen sect at the absolute beginning level? Oh my god, could it be that Chu Luo of the Forbidden sect is actually a strong man in the absolute beginning realm? Tisk, tisk, tisk. Within a month, this Chu Luo made 2 geniuses fall off the list. Isn't that right? There are still more than 180 people on the list of 200 geniuses. If you want to re-enter the list, you can only have a chance to wait for the Genius List conference to be held again. Countless powerful people were all surprised and filled with emotions. This little beast, how is it possible? Ancient sage Yanjun saw Chu Luo's name appearing in the position of 118th. Everyone is feeling bad. The 3 geniuses who entered the secret realm, Du Sheng, the strongest, are in the same realm as Lu Feng. Ranked 120. At this moment, ancient sage Yanjun had an ominous premonition in his heart. Don't worry too much. Perhaps Lu Feng met other geniuses and was picked up by that little beast. Ancient sage Minjian comforted him. Ancient sage Yanjun nodded slightly, thinking that it should be like this. Zhao Sheng and Qin Yi also looked confused when they saw Chu Luo's name appearing at the position of 118. The second elder was very curious. How did this kid defeat Lu Feng, who was in the absolute beginning realm? Could it be that that boy used his forbidden secret skill again? Fenger, at this time. A grief-stricken voice caught everyone's attention. Everyone saw a man wearing a white mysterious robe with a face full of grief. Holding a broken life tablet in both hands, his eyes were red. This person is none other than the leader of the Tianmen sect, Lu Deyuan. He is also Lu Feng's biological father. Seeing this scene, Zhao Sheng and Qin Yi looked at each other and understood everything instantly. It turns out that this kid didn't defeat Lu Feng. Instead, kill him. Forbidden sect, give me an explanation. Lu Deyuan's face was full of anger and he looked at Zhao Sheng and Qin Yi. His angry voice resounded throughout the world. Rolling holy power, soaring into the sky. Hee hee. What are you barking at? Explain. What do I, the Forbidden sect, need to explain to you? My skills are inferior to those of others, but I still have the nerve to show off my shame. Speaking of which, your son is really useless. He was killed by our family Chu Luo in the absolute beginning stage. With the little one gone, you old ones will jump out. Humph Zhongzhu Lu, you have this time to bark here, why not go back and have another one now? Zhao Sheng glanced at Lu Dayuan with a mocking look on his face. Many of the top powerhouses present couldn't help but twitch the corners of their mouths and shook their heads secretly. Zhao Sheng's words are not unpleasant at all. You. Lu Dayuan was so angry that he suppressed the anger in his heart and his face turned red. What are you? If you want to have a fight, we two old guys can play with you. 1 versus 2, you beat us two old guys, you make a profit. If you lose, just keep your life here. Qin Yi tied up his sleeves and took out the spirit sword again. Snort. Forbidden Sect, I hope you can still be so domineering when I, the ancestor of Tianmen Sect, come to visit. Lu Dayuan flicked his sleeves and left here with grief and anger. Snort. There aren't many people who live forever. Zhao Sheng muttered and continued to close his eyes and concentrate, waiting for Chu Luo and others to come out. Calf protection value from Elder Zhao Sheng plus 5,000 calf protection value from Elder Qin Yi plus 5,000. Hey? What happened? Chu Luo and several disciples had just finished searching the medicine field. Suddenly I received a prompt from the system. Chu Luo looked confused. P.S. It's another day of explosive updates. Please remind me of the updates and pay attention. We'll continue tomorrow, by Ruisi. Chapter 19. The inexplicable calf protecting value surprised Chu Luo. What did the two elders do outside? However, Chu Luo was quite happy to get the value of calf protection. We are one step closer to redeeming the immortal body. Chu Luo looked back and took a look at the medicine field, feeling quite satisfied. The previous medicinal field had long since disappeared, leaving only a big pit. They really dug up the entire medicinal field. The 6 core disciples behind him were filled with satisfied smiles. Boom! Suddenly, a powerful aura wave came from behind the mountain in the distance. Senior brother Chu, someone is fighting. A disciple next to Chu Luo said in surprise. Chu Luo wiped her chin, her eyes flickering. The secret realm of the Great Emperor is full of opportunities. As soon as they entered, they encountered rare spiritual soil. There are strong men fighting in front, and they must be fighting for opportunities. A thought flashed across her face, and Chu Luo grinned, planning to join in the fun. Come on, let's go over secretly and take a look. Chu Luo took the 6 core disciples and rushed behind the mountain in the distance. Wait for Chu Luo and others to climb over this mountain. I saw only a valley. A dozen strong men are fighting fiercely. Chu Luo recognized these dozen people at a glance from the robes they wore. They were disciples of the 2 top forces. Linghai Sect and Yunmiao Holy Land. One in particular has a graceful figure, wearing a white dress, and looks extremely beautiful. The girl who looked like a fairy in the dust made Chu Luo's eyes light up. The pair of snow-capped mountains on its chest are particularly eye-catching. No need to guess, Chu Luo is sure that this girl with extraordinary aura and beautiful appearance is a genius from Yunmiao Holy Land. Because there are no men in Yunmiao Holy Land. But Chu Luo didn't know this girl. As for the person fighting this Yunmiao Holy Land girl, it was a handsome-looking young man wearing blue mysterious clothes. Powerful spiritual power fluctuations were suppressed from this young man's body. At this moment, the young man stepped into the void, holding a blue spiritual gun. The body is surrounded by runes, like a young divine king. Gives people an invincible feeling. With the power emerging from the two of them, Chu Luo could see through their realms at a glance. The 2 people from Lingqing Sect and Yunmiao Holy Land are both in the 6th realm of Divine Soul. However, at this moment, the girl in Yunmiao Holy Land is gradually showing her disadvantages, and her defeat will be inevitable sooner or later. The other female disciples of the Yunmiao sect were also in a tough fight. Chu Luo took a quick glance at the battlefield on both sides. My eyes were instantly attracted to a grey flower deep in the valley. This grey flower exudes a little grey light. The special medicinal power fluctuation allowed Chu Luo to sense it even from such a long distance. And Chu Luo also knew this grey flower. It's actually a heaven-grade soul-nourishing flower. Chu Luo was surprised. He remembered that there was one in Elder Zhao Sheng's medicinal field. It's just that Elder Zhao Sheng's soul-nurturing flower is still just a seedling. It can't be compared to this one in the valley. It seems that the geniuses of the 2 top forces are all competing for this soul-nurturing flower. Soul-nourishing flowers are a good thing. The user can not only enhance the soul power, but also restore the damaged soul. How could he miss such a good thing? Senior brother Chu, that is Fairy Yun Jian from Yunmiao Holy Land. the genius who ranks 125th on the genius list. The other guy is Luo Yu from Lingqing sect, ranked 123 on the list of geniuses. Senior brother Chu, we have to help Fairy Yun. The 6 core disciples who were hiding in the dark with Chu Luo quickly reminded Chu Luo after seeing clearly the people fighting on both sides. What? She is Yun Qianqian. Hearing this, Chu Luo was greatly surprised, and his eyes fell on Yun Qianqian, who was retreating steadily. Everyone in the entire Taboo Sect doesn't know that their senior brother Baiyun and Yun Qianqian from Yun Miao Holy Land are in love with each other. His direct disciple Baiyun is well known as a good person in the sect. All the disciples in the sect have special respect for this senior brother Baiyun. Chu Luo once visited Elder Zhao Sheng's medicine field and was caught on the spot by Zhao Sheng. Fortunately Baiyun was there at the time. When Baiyun came forward, Elder Zhao Sheng just scolded him. Then he threw him out without embarrassment to him. Since Yun Qianqian is Baiyun's Taoist companion, then he can't just sit back and watch. Why are you still standing there? Help me, copycat! Chu Luo came back to his senses and said to the 6 core disciples around him. Oh! Linqingzong bastards, you are so brave. Don't be afraid of the fairies of Yun Miao Holy Land. Our forbidden sect, Li Kui, is coming. Forbidden sect, Wang Sheng is coming. The 6 core disciples were stunned, immediately took out their weapons, rushed out, and killed each other on the battlefield. Chu Luo, on the other hand, formed a seal with his hands, and a strong spatial fluctuation appeared around him. His eyes were fixed on the soul-nourishing flower deep in the valley. Forbidden secret skill, great movement of space. Buzz! Chu Luo's figure disappeared instantly. And at the same time, on the battlefield, both sides fighting were shocked and looked towards the mountain. The 6 core disciples entered the battlefield with powerful might. Forbidden sect! Damn it, how come the disciples of the forbidden sect are here? Hateful! Several Linghai sect disciples looked ugly, and they all cursed secretly. The few female disciples of Yun Miao Holy Land who were locked in a bitter battle looked happy when they saw that the visitors were disciples of the forbidden sect. Junior sisters, we are fellow deists of the forbidden sect. Don't be afraid, everyone, let's fight off these guys from Linghai sect together. A female disciple saw 5 core disciples of the forbidden sect entering the battlefield and immediately encouraged the junior sisters behind her. Boom! Several female disciples from Yun Miao Holy Land and 5 core disciples from the forbidden sect joined forces to counterattack several people from the Lingqing sect. Forbidden sect! I'm afraid you won't succeed, boom! Several disciples of Lingqing sect were furious, seeing that they were about to capture these female disciples from Yun Miao Holy Land. Unexpectedly, the forbidden sect suddenly came to intervene. Several disciples of the Lingqing sect fought one after another. But at this moment, Linghai sect is at a disadvantage. At the same time, above the void, Luo Yu knocked back Yun Qianqian with a palm. He also immediately noticed the sudden appearance of the forbidden sect disciples. His face instantly became furious. Yun Qianqian suppressed the surging qi and blood. A pair of large undulating peaks, looking a little pale. Mei Mu saw that the junior sisters were out of danger with the help of several forbidden sect disciples. I couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Luo Yu, UBD, how dare you bully our senior brother Bai's Fairy Yun? Eating my king is better than a sword, at this time. Another disciple of the forbidden sect, Wang Sheng, supported Yun Qianqian. Attack Luo Yu with a sword and sneak away. Luo Yu's eyes narrowed, and the war gun in his hand erupted with terrifying gunfire. You dare to come up and attack even though you are from the 4 realms of spirit, boom! Luo Yu snorted coldly, and shot across with his backhand. The powerful force swept away Wang Sheng's spiritual sword on the spot. An invisible powerful force hit Wang Sheng's chest. Wang Sheng groaned and retreated to Yun Qianqian's side. Fellow deist, are you okay? Yun Qianqian's jade hand stretched out to steady Wang Sheng's figure. Ahem. It's okay, Fairy Yun, don't worry, our senior brother Chu is here too. Wang Sheng waved his hand, coughed dryly, and comforted Yun Qianqian. The next moment, Wang Sheng turned around and was completely dumbfounded. Hey? Where is senior brother Chu? Wang Sheng's face was full of confusion when he saw that his senior brother Chu did not follow him. Hearing this, Luo Yu and Yun Qianqian were both stunned. Chu Luo and the others also know each other now. After all, outside the secret realm, a war between the ancient saints almost broke out just because of Chu Luo. Suddenly, Luo Yu seemed to notice something and turned around suddenly. Look in the direction of the soul-nourishing flower. Do not know when. Chu Luo, who had disappeared before, did not know whether he appeared here at the soul-raising flower. No one present was aware of it at all. Chu Luo moved his hands up and down, and the soul-nourishing flower was taken into the ring by him with its roots and mud attached. The movements are terrifyingly skillful. Court death, boom. Chapter 20. Luo Yu was furious. The runes on his body emit a faint light. He waved the spear in his hand and shot Chu Luo from a distance. I saw an illusory golden gun shadow, charging with powerful force, tearing through the air. A harsh buzzing sound erupted, and it rushed towards Chu Luo in an instant. Senior brother Chu, be careful. Fellow Daoist beware. Core disciples Wang Sheng and Yun Jianqian quickly reminded Chu Luo. Chu Luo, who had his back turned to everyone, had already sensed the powerful force coming from behind. Jump up suddenly. Boom. The golden gun shadow struck down, and a huge mushroom cloud rose instantly. The violent power spread out in all directions, like ripples in water. The surrounding trees broke instantly. The disciples of the three major forces who were fighting also stopped at this moment. He turned around to protect his spirit and blocked the aftermath of this power. After a while, the smoke dissipated. Everyone present was stunned. I saw the mountains deep in the valley disappearing directly. What a terrible attack! Several disciples of the Forbidden Sect and several female disciples of Yunmiao Holy Land took a deep breath of cold air and looked at Luo Yu's figure with fear. What kind of monsters are these geniuses on the list? The power of the attack just now was already beyond the scope of the Divine Soul Realm. Hehe. What about the disciples of the Forbidden Sect? With our senior brother Luo Yu here, you are dead. Several core disciples of Lingqing Sect all sneered, their confidence greatly increased. At this time, Luo Yu, who was in the void, fell in front of several Lingqing Sect disciples. His face was as gloomy as water, staring behind several disciples of the Forbidden Sect and Yunmiao Holy Land. Luo Yu's cold eyes made the core disciples of the two major forces feel terrified. It's you. Hand over the soul-nurturing flower, or all of you will die today. Luo Yu's eyes bloomed with faint golden light, and the golden runes on his body appeared again. A cold murderous intention permeated the air. Hehe. Brother, I just picked a little flower. Why put people to death? A joking voice came from behind the disciples of the two major forces. Everyone was stunned and immediately turned around. Several disciples of the Forbidden Sect immediately became excited. They found Chu Luo, who appeared behind them at some unknown time. Senior brother Chu. A few people had forgotten that senior brother Chu was still there. I'm afraid of this yarn. Their senior brother Chu can even kill the strong ones in the absolute beginning realm. Several female disciples of Yunmiao Sect naturally knew Chu Luo. Several pairs of beautiful eyes looked at Chu Luo curiously. Chu Luo walked up to everyone, showing his 8 big white teeth, with a harmless look on his face. At this time, the disciple named Wang Sheng also fell down with Yun Jianqian. Sister, are you okay? Seeing the pale Yun Jianqian, several female disciples became worried. Yun Jianqian waved her hand, glanced at Luo Yu, then faced Chu Luo beside her, cupped her hands and said, "Thank you Mr. Chu for bringing all the fellow Daoists to the rescue. Master Chu, you are not his opponent. And I'm also injured. Why don't I give them the soul-nourishing flower? Otherwise, Jianqian will feel sorry for all of you." Yun Jianqian just finished speaking. Immediately from the opposite side, the proud taunts of several Linghai Sect disciples came, "Ha ha ha! I guess you know each other. That's right, if you don't want to die, just hand over the soul-nurturing flower as soon as possible." Hehe. So what about the Forbidden Sect, and what about Yunmiao Holy Land? We have senior brother Luo Yu here, and you are destined not to be able to take away the soul-nurturing flower today. Faced with the ridicule of a group of Lingqing Sect disciples, several disciples of the Forbidden Sect couldn't hold back any longer. You Lingqing Sect bastards are so proud, we also have senior brother Chu here. Fairy Yun, don't be afraid of them. Luo Yu is nothing in front of our senior brother Chu. Senior brother Chu, kill them. That's right, senior brother Chu, let them know how powerful our Taboo Sect is. Senior brother Chu, take action quickly, we can't bear it anymore, these bastards are too arrogant. Several disciples of the Taboo Sect, not caring about the seriousness of the matter, begged Chu Luo to take action. Yun Qian and several Yun Miao Holy Land disciples on the side were greatly puzzled. I don't know why these disciples of the Forbidden Sect have so much confidence in Chu Luo. Under their perception, I found that Chu Luo only had the second level of spiritual cultivation. Chu Luo rolled her eyes at her junior brothers. Fight, 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 you will know how to fight in one day. It doesn't cost him his life to take action. Ever since he defeated Han Wuja in the sect, there have been many fights along the way. Never had a break. Those who knew thought he was the genius of the Taboo Sect. Those who didn't know thought he was an animal of the Taboo Sect. Chu Luo looked at the leader Luo Yu, shrugged, and smiled harmlessly, it's just a little flower, nothing serious. You go, I don't want to fight you now. Because I'm afraid of taking action, it wouldn't be good if I beat you to death. Chu Luo's words made several Forbidden Sect disciples feel domineering. It is indeed their scourge. Bah, senior brother Chu. Hee. What a Chu Luo, no wonder it makes the people of Scarlet Flame Valley bear grudges. It seems you don't intend to hand over the soul-raising flower. Boom. Luo Yu laughed angrily at Chu Luo's words. With a groan, the powerful aura at the peak of the Divine Soul Realm soared into the sky from his body. Each golden rune is filled with amazing spiritual power. Luo Yu's eyes glowed with golden light, and his body floated in the air. The next moment, Luo Yu's body bloomed with golden light. The spiritual power of a 1,000-mile radius area gathered crazily with him as the center. Immediately afterwards, Luo Yu made a secret with his hands, and the runes flickered. Around his body, golden light circulated, and strange phenomena appeared. In the vision, tens of thousands of guns stand out, showing their sharpness and suppressing the world. The shadow of a golden gun hundreds of feet high was filled with violent power. Suppressed from the void space behind him. Hiss, senior brother Luo really wanted to kill them all. He actually used this trick. Quickly retreat. Several disciples of the Lingqing sect looked at the phantom of the huge golden gun that came out of the suppression, with horrified expressions on their faces, and immediately evacuated the valley. Holy technique! Everyone, move quickly, I'll stop him. Yun Qianqian's beautiful eyes wrinkled, she held a spiritual sword in front of Chu Luo, and looked straight into the void. Hee. Can you leave? Wandao Divine Spear. Die, boom. Luo Yu waved the spear in his hand, driving the terrifying golden spear shadow. Take one step forward. Kill everyone directly. Under the influence of this terrifying force, the ground beneath everyone's feet began to tremble. You guys leave quickly. Yun Qian bit her silver teeth and was about to take action, when she was preparing to take Luo Yu's blow with all her strength. Chu Luo behind him curled his lips and stepped forward directly. Miss Yun, lend me the sword. Chu Luo snatched the spiritual sword from Yun Qianqian's hand, turned it into a stream of light, and rushed towards the attacking Luo Yu. Since you want to die, then I can only help you. Buzz. Chu Luo's eyes condensed, and bloody light began to flow in his eyes. He bit his finger instantly and a drop of blood was smeared on the spirit sword. Immediately, under the horrified eyes of everyone, the spiritual sword in Chu Luo's hand turned extremely red. The next moment, there was a violent, bloodthirsty and strange sword intent soaring into the sky from Chu Luo. In an instant, the originally clear sky nearby turned into a bloody sky and earth. What kind of move is this, such a terrifying sword intent? Yun Qianqian's eyes widened, and a look of shock appeared on her beautiful face. At this moment, behind Chu Luo, an endless bloody vision appeared. In the blood, thousands of souls roared and bones were thick. A huge bloody figure, holding a bloody sword, came out of the vision and stepped on the bones. The majestic evil spirit and astonishing power flowed down like a waterfall falling from the sky, blessing Chu Luo's body. At this moment, Chu Luo and the huge figure behind him seemed to have merged into one. Like a murderous god who slaughtered hundreds of millions of living beings. Luo Yu looked horrified and his eyelids were beating wildly. How can this be? He simply couldn't believe it, just a second realm of soul and soul. How could he activate such terrifying power? But at this time, Chu Luo's figure has arrived in front of him. Luo Yu roared furiously, mobilized all the strength in his body, and looked up to the sky and roared, "Go to hell!" Boom! Chapter 21. The huge golden gun shadow bloomed with dazzling light. Chu Luo, who was in front of the golden gun shadow, instantly raised the blood sword in his hand. Forbidden secret skill, Blood Fiend Sword Slaughter, boom! Chu Luo slashed out with one sword. In an instant, the sky and the earth turned pale, and a blood glow connected the heaven and the earth. Gallop out! Boom! The golden gun shadow containing powerful power was directly struck by this terrifying bloody sword light. Split into two. Buzz! Turned into dazzling golden starlight, dissipating between heaven and earth. And the speed of this terrifying sword light has not slowed down, just like the Jinghong from the nine heavens. Under Luo Yu's horrified eyes, it gradually zoomed in. Finally, this bloody sword light flashed past Luo Yu. Cut a large mountain in the distance in half. At this moment, the world is silent. Everyone is looking at the two people in the void. Several Forbidden Sect disciples looked at Chu Luo's figure as the blood gradually dissipated. His eyes were shining with light, and his face was full of admiration and shock. Their senior brother Chu is simply a genius killer. Killed another top talent. Moreover, it is another forbidden trick that they have never seen before. I really don't know how many forbidden secrets of their sect Master Chu has mastered. No wonder senior brother Chu used to take drugs. I always frequent the second elder's medicinal field. Now everyone finally understands the truth. Amazing! Yun Kyunkin's beautiful eyes flashed again and again, and she couldn't help but let out a soft sigh. Chu Luo's sword strike just now, she would never be able to take it. At this moment, Yun Qianqian finally understood why the disciples of the Forbidden Sect had full confidence in Chu Luo. Buzz! Above the void, Luo Yu's divine power dissipated. The spear in his hand fell. There was a vertical blood streak between his forehead. The vitality in the body disappears quickly. At the moment when he closed his eyes, Luo Yu looked at Chu Luo who was gradually blurring. My heart is filled with endless regret. Immediately, the genius ranked 123rd on the genius list. Fall. Seeing the other party fall asleep, Chu Luo finally felt relieved. This forbidden trick just now cost him another 300 years of life. Every time I take action, it takes so much life. It seems that if you encounter ordinary special skills that you like in the future, you will have to master one or two tricks. Before redeeming the body of immortality, if you use the forbidden secret skill, you won't have enough life. Senior Brother Luo. Senior Brother Luo, dead, dead. Let's go quickly and find the other senior brothers first. Several Lingqing sect disciples who had escaped in advance stood in the distance, their faces all pale. It's hard to believe what I'm seeing. They didn't expect that senior brother Luo Yu was no match for Chu Luo. The few people who reacted suddenly changed their expressions and fled from here immediately. Chu Luo also noticed several Lingqing sect disciples who had escaped. But he didn't take action. Now that he has killed one of the top geniuses of Lingqing sect, that means he has offended Lingqing sect. Lingqing sect will definitely not give up. Let these people go so that Lingqing sect will know that he killed them. When the time comes, some old guys from Lingqing sect will definitely make trouble for him. Hey hey! By then he will be able to reap the value of calf protection again. Thinking of this, Chu Luo smiled happily, calmed down his breath, and returned to everyone. Those bastards from the Lingqing sect ran away so fast. I really doubt they have practiced. Ha ha ha, definitely. Several Forbidden Sect disciples also reacted and couldn't help laughing. Senior Brother Chu, Nyo. Several core disciples saw Chu Luo return. Several people immediately started rummaging through the ring. Immediately, everyone took out one or two elixirs that could restore vitality and handed them to Chu Luo. Senior Brother Chu, these are the elixirs we searched for before. Eat them quickly, we understand. Several disciples blinked at Chu Luo. Chu Luo was stunned. There seemed to be something wrong with this look. But a warm current flowed through Chu Luo's heart, and she grinned, how embarrassing. These elixirs have to be handed over to the section. Chu Luo said this, but he took the elixir from the hands of several disciples and started chewing it to replenish part of the lost longevity. The corners of everyone's mouths twitched slightly. I haven't seen Senior Brother Chu either, so I'm sorry. Look at the harmonious coexistence between the disciples of the Forbidden Sect. Yun Qianqian couldn't help but smile. Suddenly, Yun Kyunkin's expression changed and a mouthful of blood spurted out. Sister! Several disciples of Yun Miao Holy Land were shocked. Miss Yun, are you okay? Get the healing elixir quickly. Chu Luo was also startled and quickly became concerned. If nothing else happens, Yun Qianqian will probably be their senior sister in the future. Several disciples of the Forbidden Sect immediately took out a pile of healing elixirs and handed them to Yun Qianqian. Yun Qianqian waved her hands and smiled sweetly, "Don't worry, Mr. Chu, I'm fine. It's just an old problem." Chu Luo's thoughts moved and landed on Yun Qianqian's body, and found that Yun Qianqian's soul seemed to be damaged. Yun Qianqian seemed to be aware of it and continued to smile. "It seems that Mr. Chu has discovered it. Not long ago, I was eager for quick success and wanted to force a breakthrough in the technique, but unexpectedly the breakthrough failed and my soul was hurt. I came in today and accidentally discovered the soul-nourishing flower. But unexpectedly, people from the Lingqing sect also appeared here. Mr. Chu, can the little girl exchange the same thing for the soul-nourishing flower?" Speaking of this, Yun Qianqian was a little hesitant and embarrassed. Chu Luo and several disciples of the Forbidden Sect understood everything instantly. It turns out that Yun Qianqian was injured to begin with. No wonder he has to be Luo Yu's opponent. Chu Luo came back to her senses and grinned, "Since Miss Yun Chu Luo hasn't finished speaking yet." Yun Qianqian turned her hand over, and a jade bottle appeared in her palm, and said seriously, "Mr. Chu, this is the realm-breaking pill, a high-grade elixir. Although the value of realm-breaking pill is not lower than that of soul-nourishing flower. But after going back, the little girl will definitely use other elixirs or elixirs to compensate. I don't know, Mr. Chu." Chu Luo looked at the realm-breaking pill in Yun Qianqian's hand. "I swallowed what I just wanted to say about giving the soul-nourishing flower to her." The voice changed to, "Miss Yun is too polite. Although the realm-breaking pill is not worth the soul-nourishing flower. But you are our senior brother Bai's favorite. Okay, I'm willing to exchange with Miss Yun." With that said, Chu Luo immediately took the realm-breaking pill from Yun Qianqian's hand. Afraid that the other party will regret it. Then he took out the soul-nourishing flower and handed it to Yun Qianqian. Seeing that the other party mentioned by Yun Qianqian's face turned red and she quickly said gratefully, "Thank you, Mr. Chu." Immediately, Yun Qianqian took the soul-nourishing flower on the spot, refining the medicinal power on the spot to repair the damaged soul. Everyone protects him. Seeing this, Chu Luo looked at the realm-breaking pill in his hand and planned to take this opportunity to improve his strength. "So I took the realm-breaking pill on the spot and started running the exercises, at the same time. Outside the entrance to the secret realm, the list of geniuses appears again. Everyone was shocked when they discovered that Luo Yu was ranked 123 on the list of geniuses. The name disappears. On the Lingqing sect side, ancient sage Lanqing's face changed drastically and he turned his hand. A broken life card made him grief-stricken. Disciple. Who is it? Who on earth killed this saint's disciple? Boom. The sound of rage resounded throughout the heaven and earth. The rolling holy power, mixed with murderous intent, makes everyone tremble. Many powerful men subconsciously looked at Zhao Sheng and Qin Yi from the Forbidden Sect. Chapter 22. Noticed everyone's gaze. The two elders couldn't help but look at each other. Could it be that the apprentice of old ghost Lanqing was killed by that boy Chu Luo again? At this moment, ancient sage Lanqing also turned his attention to the two of them. The eyes are full of coldness. "What are you looking at? What do you look like, old guy? What do you mean? Do you think that your disciple is a disciple of my Forbidden Sect? Do you have evidence?" Elder Zhao Sheng met the eyes of ancient Saint Lanqing and said without any politeness. Ancient sage Lanqing frowned, his face also filled with anger. But he was really not sure whether Luo Yu died at the hands of the Forbidden Sect disciples. After all, no one takes Luo Yu's place on the list of geniuses. Snort. "When the other disciples of my sect who have entered the secret realm come out, we will know who killed this disciple of this saint once we ask. If it is really your Forbidden Sect's fault, even if a war breaks out between the ancient saints, I will seek justice for my disciples." Ancient sage Lanqing snorted coldly. Hee hee. Elder Zhao Sheng and Elder Qin Yi sneered and ignored ancient Saint Lanqing. But at this moment, both elders had a look of worry in their eyes. "Second elder, if it's really that boy Chu Luo who killed this old man's apprentice, I'm afraid it will be a bit troublesome." In addition to these two guys from Lingqing sect, the old ghosts Yanjun and Minjian from Scarlet Flame Valley are also eyeing that boy Chu Luo. When there are only two of us, I'm afraid it won't be easy to deal with them. Elder Qin Yi remained calm and secretly transmitted the message. "Well, just to be on the safe side, I have to wait and shake people secretly, just in case something happens. If it's really that kid who caused the trouble, let his damn master wipe his a. Elder Zhao Sheng nodded and responded. The palm hidden in the sleeve robe has an extra jade metal. Zhao Sheng crushed it decisively, feeling confident, at the same time. The deepest part of the secret realm of the great emperor. The blazing heat enveloped the heaven and earth. The land with a radius of dozens of miles was lifeless and was covered by a sea of red fire. At this moment, outside this sea of red fire, the powerful men from all major sects who entered the secret realm gathered here. Everyone's eyes are looking towards the deepest part of the sea of fire. In the deepest part of the sea of fire, there is an alchemy cauldron suspended. Rolling red flames poured out from this alchemy cauldron. Moreover, there is a faint imperial power permeating the alchemy cauldron. Obviously, this alchemy cauldron is an imperial weapon. It's an imperial weapon. Ha ha ha, the imperial weapon is mine. Ah, puff. Many powerful men outside the sea of fire sensed the faint imperial power on the alchemy cauldron. Many independent cultivators who were in the absolute beginning realm rushed into the sea of fire greedily, trying to compete for this imperial weapon. However, as soon as these people stepped into the sea of fire, they were swallowed up by the terrifying red flames. No bones left. This scene made countless strong men present immediately wake up. Senior brother, that is the burning flame cauldron in our alchemy sect's ancient books. It is the natal imperial weapon of Patriarch Guden. Ancestor Guden has really fallen. Among the crowd, a disciple of the Dan sect clearly saw the red cauldron queen in the sea of fire. His face changed slightly, and he lowered his voice and whispered to Dan Chenzi beside him. Dan Chenzi nodded slightly and frowned. After he and Chu Luo came in and were separated. Under some kind of guidance, he rushed here with several core disciples of the Forbidden Sect and his disciples of the Alchemy Sect. But not long after he arrived, strong men arrived one after another. Thinking of this, Dan Chenzi looked around and locked his eyes on several teenagers. These young men are the geniuses from all the top forces. Among them, there are the 3 geniuses of Scarlet Flame Valley, with dozens of disciples. Nowadays, the geniuses of many top forces are gathered here. It would be a bit tricky for him alone to take back their sect's burning flame cauldron. Junior brother, can you contact Brother Chu? Let him come here and help us. I, Dan Zong, will be extremely grateful. Dan Chenzi pleaded to a Taboo Sect disciple next to him. Good. I'll try to contact Senior Brother Chu and the others. The disciple nodded, took out a sect token, and tried to contact Chu Luo and the others. Seeing this, Dan Chenzi felt a little confident. Dan Chenzi stared at the Fenian cauldron in the sea of fire and narrowed his eyes slightly. According to the ancient records of his sect, there is a realm hidden within the burning flame cauldron. Dan Chenzi speculated that if the ancestor of Gu Dan really left the recipe of Emperor Dan to pass down, it will definitely be hidden in the world inside the cauldron of the burning flame cauldron. Therefore, no matter what, he must take the Fenian cauldron back. Buzz buzz. Just when Dan Chenzi was daydreaming, suddenly, the sea of fire in the distance shook violently. Immediately afterwards, countless powerful men present saw the burning flame cauldron tremble and emit a faint crimson light. The next moment, a surge of imperial power filled the air. All the powerful men and geniuses present knelt down on the spot. This is... Everyone was horrified. However, among the kneeling people, 2 figures seemed particularly abrupt. Never knelt down. One of them is Dan Chenzi. As for the other person, it was a man with a proud face who looked to be in his mid-20s. This man also has a faint imperial power emerging from him. This imperial power gives people a sense of ancient times. But Dan Chenzi didn't have any special aura on his body. But he was not affected by this imperial power at all. Dan Chenzi himself didn't even know what was going on. The man also looked at Dan Chenzi with a look of disdain on his face. Dan Chenzi also noticed the man's gaze and looked over. This man was found standing next to several geniuses from the Lingqing sect. Could it be that this person is the descendant of a certain great emperor of Lingqing sect? Buzz. Just when Dan Chenzi was surprised, the imperial power gathered in the sea of fire, transforming into a majestic figure. This figure made a big move. The red flames in the sea of fire quickly gathered and jumped into his palm. Around him, there are eternal visions. This majestic figure is a white-haired old man. Dan Chenzi's pupils shrank and he subconsciously lost his voice. You are Patriarch Guden. Ha ha ha. After so many years, the inner world of this emperor has finally appeared. I finally waited for someone from my Dan sect. The old man smiled faintly, his eyes were kind and his eyes fell on Dan Chenzi. Yes, he is the master of this great emperor's secret realm. Good and great emperor. However, now this ancient elixir, the great emperor, is just a remnant soul left in the secret world. Disciple of the Dan sect, Dan Chenzi, pays homage to the ancestor. Dan Chenzi finally understood why he was not affected by this imperial power. Mostly because of Patriarch Guden. Well, I never imagined that the younger generation of our Dan sect would be in such decline. Hey? A member of the Wang family. No wonder. Gu Dan Great Emperor glanced around and his eyes fell on the geniuses of other top forces. He sighed helplessly. Immediately, he noticed the man who also exuded imperial power and blocked his pressure. The imperial power in the man does not come from himself. It's just what others left on him. The man smiled, not caring at all that Gu Dan Great Emperor revealed his identity. Instead, there was still a look of pride on his face. Everyone present was suddenly shocked. They didn't expect that this man was actually from the ancient Wang family. How could people from the Huangguang family be together with people from the Lingqing sect? Hehe. Little guys, this emperor's cauldron and inheritance are specially prepared for me, the genius of the Dan sect. You can look for other opportunities. In this emperor's inner world, there are many precious elixirs for you to obtain. Good and Great Emperor withdrew from the man's body, and his majestic voice echoed in the ears of every strong man. Immediately, the remnant soul of Gu Dan Great Emperor grabbed Dan Chenzi. The figures of Dan Chenzi and Gu Dan, the Great Emperor, disappeared from everyone's sight. The imperial power in heaven and earth also disappeared. And in the sea of fire, monstrous red flames rose again. Very good. Senior brother Dan Chenzi has obtained the inheritance from the ancestor of ancient Dan. Ha ha ha. Yes, senior brother Dan Chenzi's strength will definitely increase dramatically after he comes out of seclusion. The dozen or so Dan sect disciples who got up suddenly became excited. Some of the powerful independent cultivators around could not help but shake their heads secretly. Face full of envy. Some strong people left secretly to look for other opportunities. Some people continued to stay where they were, with a cold light flashing in their eyes. Snort. It turns out to be an unofficial decision. Han Wuja on the Red Flame Valley side stared at the burning flame cauldron in the sea of fire, feeling very unhappy. Hehe. Junior brother Han, don't worry. That old guy is just a remnant of his soul, and he is about to completely dissipate into the world. After that old guy disappears completely, it's still unclear who this imperial weapon belongs to. But before that, we have to collect some debt. Du Sheng beside him sneered. Looking at the Forbidden Sect disciples who were with the Dan Sect disciples, a ruthless look flashed in his eyes. Chapter 23. As for the three geniuses of Scarlet Flame Valley, they planned to teach a few disciples of the Forbidden Sect present. Suddenly, several hurried figures flew in from the distant sky. Everyone noticed that the few people flying over were wearing the robes of the Lingqing sect. Among the dozen or so people from Lingqing sect, the two young men led by him guarded the Wang family man. These two young men are also the young geniuses of Lingqing sect, named Zhu Yu and Liu Chong Kong. Both of them are at the level of absolute beginning, ranked 116th and 119th on the prodigy list respectively. Why did you guys arrive just now? Where's junior brother Luo? Zhu Yu saw several disciples looking panicked and found that Luo Yu was not there. He frowned slightly and asked. Before this, Luo Yu had summoned him through the sect token. I learned that Luo Yu had found a soul-nourishing flower. By chance, she met Yun Qian from Yun Miao Holy Land. Seeing these disciples returning, Zhu Yu thought Luo Yu had succeeded. Senior brother Zhu, Luo, senior brother Luo Yu has fallen. One of the returning disciples spoke in a panic. As soon as these words came out, everyone present heard them clearly. Everyone was shocked. Who is so bold that he dares to kill even the genius of Lingqing sect? What? Who did this? The expressions of Zhu Yu and Liu Chong Kong, the two young geniuses, changed drastically in an instant. Someone actually killed their junior brother Luo. You know, their junior brother Luo is one of the top talents of their sect. Luo Qingxiu's biological brother. And what's even more terrible is, the man next to them from the Wang family is named Wang Lin. He is Luo Qingxiu's future husband. Not long ago, Wang Lin brought a strong member of the Wang family to propose marriage. It is precisely because Luo Yu is Luo Qingxiu's biological brother. Only then would Wang Lin follow them to the secret realm. At this moment, Wang Lin's expression also darkened. It's Chu Luo from the Forbidden Sect. Another disciple responded immediately. How can this be? When I was outside the secret realm before, I saw that Chu Luo of the Forbidden Sect only had the cultivation of the second realm of soul. How could he be junior brother Luo's opponent? Zhu Yu said with a gloomy face. Senior brother Zhu, it's true. We saw it with our own eyes. That guy's unique skills are so terrifying. Several disciples recalled the scene where Chu Luo killed Luo Yu, and they all became frightened. Zhu Yu and Liu Chongkong looked at each other, and both looked at Wang Lin, who was the leader. And at the same time, just after several Linghai sect disciples exposed Chu Luo and killed Luo Yu, several Forbidden Sect disciples present immediately moved their feet slowly and evacuated backwards. Members of the Forbidden Sect, where do you want to go? At this moment, the three geniuses of Scarlet Flame Valley led their men to block a few people from the Forbidden Sect. Other powerful people present watched the show. Brother Zhu, Brother Liu. These guys want to leave. Haha. It just so happens that our Red Flame Valley also has a grudge against that kid. Get these people, and that boy Chu Luo will naturally bring them over. Du Sheng, the leader, said coldly to Zhu Yu and the others. He has not forgotten that the elder of the sect asked him to kill Chu Luo in the secret realm. Yes, senior brother Zhu, the Forbidden Sect is too abominable. That's right, avenge senior brother Luo. Humph. The Forbidden Sect has always been domineering. We were bullied by them in the secret realm before. Now it's just right, let's settle old and new scores together. The disciples behind Zhu Yu and Liu Chongkong also joined in their support at this time. Get them. Bring in the boy named Chu Luo. Wang Lin raised his head at this time and his eyes fell on several Forbidden Sect disciples. His face was extremely cold, and there was a cold light in his eyes. Zhu Yu and Liu Chongkong nodded slightly and waved their hands. Take them down. The dozen disciples behind him immediately picked up their weapons and rushed towards several core disciples. And Du Sheng also gave the order. The dozen or so Scarlet Flame Valley disciples behind him also rushed forward. Okay. We, the Taboo Sect, remember it. Everyone come together, senior brother Chu will be here soon. Fight with these bastards. A disciple of the Forbidden Sect cursed angrily and immediately led a few people to fight back. Don't be afraid of the fellow deists of the Forbidden Sect, we are here to help you and others. It has to be said that the disciples of Dan Sect are also very loyal. Lend a helping hand as soon as possible. A battle broke out on the scene and it fell into chaos. Zhu Yu and Liu Chongkong frowned. The two of them moved and ended up in person. Just when a war broke out in the deepest part of the secret realm, Chu Luo, who was making a breakthrough in the valley, also ushered in a critical moment. A powerful aura soared into the sky from Chu Luo's body. Senior brother Chu is about to break through. Several Forbidden Sect disciples felt the fluctuations coming from Chu Luo's body and became excited. Chu Luo, who had closed his eyes, suddenly opened his eyes and stood up instantly. Break, boom. The next moment, several female disciples from Yunmiao Holy Land looked at Chu Luo as if they were looking at a monster. I saw Chu Luo's cultivation level, from the second realm of spirit and soul. It has become the third realm. The fourth realm. An earth-level realm breaking pill actually allowed him to break through 2 realms in a row. What a monster! Several Forbidden Sect disciples have long been used to strange things. After breaking through to the 4th realm of Divine Soul, Chu Luo's aura gradually weakened. Chu Luo felt the surging power within her body and was very satisfied. Master Chu is truly a genius. With the help of the power of realm breaking pill, I can actually break through 2 realms in a row. Admire. At this time, Yun Qian, who was repairing her soul not far away, also opened her beautiful eyes, stood up and smiled at Chu Luo. Chu Luo grinned and was about to say something when she saw that Yun Qian had recovered her soul. Suddenly, the face of a Forbidden Sect disciple behind Chu Luo changed slightly and he turned his hand. A sect token appeared in his palm. The sect token exudes a faint light. The disciple pointed his finger, and a stream of light shot into the token. The next moment, the token bloomed with light, and a line of illusory small words appeared. Senior brother Chu, come quickly to the depths of the secret realm. If you find the Imperial weapon, come quickly for support. Chu Luo was stunned when she saw this line of small characters. Unexpectedly, there is an Imperial weapon in the secret territory of the Great Emperor. Senior Brother Chu, the Imperial artifact has appeared, and the powerful men from other forces must have arrived long ago. Let's set off quickly to support other brothers and sisters. Several disciples spoke one after another. We are with you. Mr. Chu, if you want to fight for the Imperial weapon, I can help you. Just thank Mr. Chu for your kindness today. Yun Qian smiled sweetly. Chu Luo nodded slightly, arched his head, and said, Thank you so much, Miss Yun. When you have time, come to our Forbidden Sect more often and play with Senior Brother Baiyun. Yun Qian's cheeks were slightly red and she nodded. Immediately, everyone in Chu Luo rushed to the depths of the Great Emperor's secret realm. P.S. I'll do 2 updates today. Xiaohu needs to go to bed early tonight, and I'll take my grandpa for a checkup early tomorrow morning. I'll see if I can update 3 times tomorrow. Everyone, go to bed early after reading the book. Don't forget to remind me of the update. Good night. Everyone. Chapter 24. Chu Luo and Yun Qian, together with a group of junior brothers and sisters, quickly reached the depths of the secret realm. Just set foot in the depths of the secret realm. A sea of red fire came into everyone's sight. The many powerful men who were guarding outside the sea of fire also seemed to sense it and looked towards the direction where Chu Luo and his group were attacking. Someone's coming again. That's Fairy Yun from Yun Miao Holy Land. Look, everyone, there are disciples from the Forbidden Sect. That boy is Chu Luo. Chu Luo is here. Strange, how come Fairy Yun is with Chu Luo? All the strong men present exclaimed in surprise after seeing the person clearly. As soon as the word Chu Luo came out, the atmosphere of the whole place changed subtly. Many powerful people present looked like they were watching a good show. Snort! Is it finally here? Han Wuji's face darkened as he looked at the several figures approaching from a distance. In his eyes, there was an icy cold light. And under his feet was a disciple of the Forbidden Sect with a bruised nose and a swollen face. Around him, there were several other disciples of the Forbidden Sect and disciples of the Alchemy Sect. Every disciple of the 2 sects was now suffering from bruises and swollen noses and serious injuries. But it's not life-threatening. Obviously, even Scarlet Flame Valley and Lingqing Sect would not dare to kill these disciples of Forbidden Sect and Dan Sect on the spot. After all, outside the secret realm, there are 2 ancient saint elders from the Forbidden Sect guarding it. In front of so many people, I dare not kill the disciples of the 2 sections. As for Lingqing Sect, Wang Lin, Zhu Yu and Lu Chongkong also followed everyone's gaze. Wang Lin's face was as cold as frost, and his eyes shone with a cold light. Chu Luo, who had just arrived here, and several disciples around him were stunned. Chu Luo and others stopped. He immediately noticed several junior brothers lying on the ground. And a dozen seriously injured Dan Sect disciples. Chu Luo frowned slightly, and his face became a little gloomy. Chu, Senior Brother Chu. Leave us alone, let's go. These bastards from Scarlet Flame Valley and Lingqing Sect, are so abominable. Senior Brother Chu. Several Forbidden Sect disciples who were lying on the ground with bruises and swollen faces immediately shouted warnings after seeing Chu Luo and the others. Senior Brother, Junior Brother. Damn, these bastards are so ruthless. Damn it, okay, Red Flame Valley, right? Lingqing Sect, right? Our Forbidden Sect will remember this grudge. Several Forbidden Sect disciples around Chu Luo became angry when they saw that their fellow disciples were severely injured by people from Scarlet Flame Valley and Lingqing Sect. Chu Luo glanced around and his eyes fell on Han Wujia, Du Sheng, Zhao Tianyu, Zhu Yu and Lu Chongkong, with a dull expression. But deep in his eyes, a murderous intention flashed. Master Chu, be careful. The first 3 people from Scarlet Flame Valley are the geniuses on the genius list, Du Sheng, Zhao Tianyu and Han Wujia. As for the 2 from the Lingqing Sect, they are also on the list of geniuses, Zhu Yu and Lu Chongkong. Both of them are in the absolute beginning realm. Yun Qian on the side frowned slightly, reminding Chu Luo. Chu Luo nodded slightly. In his eyes, it no longer matters what these people are called. Because they will all die here today. Chu Luo. I'm afraid you won't be able to leave today. Han Wujia kicked away, and the Forbidden Sect disciple who was stepped on by his feet sneered. Han Wujia, you are looking for death. Several Forbidden Sect disciples around Chu Luo were angered by Han Wujia's move. Several people rolled up their sleeves and prepared to take action. But he was stopped by Chu Luo, who secretly sent a message to several junior brothers, "Junior brothers, please don't be impulsive. Just leave it to me. You guys, look for an opportunity to save a few junior brothers and the disciples of the Dan sect. Then run away. I'm afraid I'll accidentally hurt you later." Hearing this, several Forbidden Sect disciples were slightly startled, then nodded and suppressed the anger in their hearts. Chu Luo glanced at Han Wuja and showed a harmless smile. "A defeated general who was beaten by me last time and even your mother didn't recognize him dares to jump out and bark like a dog. I should have beaten you to death last time. The reason why you can stand up and bark like a dog now is because it seems that you old guys from Scarlet Flame Valley saved your life. This time, you don't have that old immortal Yan Jun to protect you." Hearing this, Han Wuja was instantly furious and his face became gloomy to the extreme. "I wish I could rush forward now and cut Chu Luo into pieces with 1,000 swords. The last time he was defeated at the hands of Chu Luo, he felt shame all his life. At the same time, I can't help but be shocked. This little beast was in the beginningless state last time. It's only been a month, and he has already reached the 4th realm of spirit and soul. No wonder their higher UPS want to kill it. Hee. All of you Taboo Sect are sharp-eyed, sharp-tongued, arrogant guys. How dare you speak rudely even though you are just a member of the Divine Soul Realm? I'm afraid you'll have to pay the price for insulting my sect." Du Sheng, who was in front of Han Wuja, stepped forward and said with cold eyes. Immediately, the powerful aura of absolute beginning enveloped the entire place. Du Sheng waved his hand. The dozen or so Scarlet Flame Valley disciples behind him surrounded Chu Luo and the others. Chu Luo just glanced at Du Sheng. He still has a harmless smile on his face. No one noticed that Chu Luo's 2 palms hidden in his sleeves were flowing with 2 colors, one black and one purple. And there is no spiritual power fluctuation. "Chu Luo, it was you who killed our junior brother Luo." At this moment, Zhu Yu and Lu Chongkong stood up, stared at Chu Luo and asked. And a dozen disciples of the Lingqing sect and the people from the Red Flame Valley blocked their retreat. Seeing this scene, the other powerful people present all started to take pleasure in others' misfortune. These disciples of the Forbidden Sect may not be able to leave today. Although the people from Lingqing sect and Scarlet Flame Valley did not dare to take the lives of Chu Luo and the others in front of so many people. But a severe beating is definitely indispensable. Maybe even his cultivation level will be abolished. Chu Luo looked at Zhu Yu and Lu Chongkong, shrugged and said with a smile, "You mean the guy with the gun?" "Yes, I killed him. I kindly reminded him at the time that he was seeking death. It's not my fault." As soon as Chu Luo said these words, all the Lingqing sect disciples present became angry. Zhu Yu's face was gloomy and he said coldly, "Just admit it. Chu Luo, just surrender and capture him. The senior leaders of our sect will make their own decision on the matter of you killing me, Lingqing sect. You just need to follow us back to Lingqing sect." Chu Luo shook her head and said with a smile, "What if I say no? Do you dare to kill me? My master is the great emperor. If you dare to touch a hair on my head, I'm afraid you will have to hide in your sect for the rest of your life." Zhu Yu was stunned, and his face instantly darkened. "He doesn't dare, I dare. You were the one who killed Luo Yu. You commit suicide. It's also a favor to the great emperor of the Forbidden Sect. Otherwise, if I take action, you will die without any trace of your body." At this time, Wang Lin, who had been silent until now, stood up and said to Chu Luo with a cold face. Chu Luo was stunned, looked at Wang Lin curiously, grinned and said, "Who are you? Is there something wrong with your mind? Just say some bad words. Suicide? Why don't you commit suicide? Give my master some face, commit suicide now. I've seen stupid people, but I've never seen anyone as stupid as you. You don't even think about what you say. The pigs are not as stupid as you. Ha ha ha. Senior brother Chu, that's a good scold. Ha ha ha. This guy looks like a human, but he talks without any brains. Who does he think he is? The great emperor." Several Forbidden Sect disciples beside Chu Luo couldn't help laughing at this time. Their senior brother Chu speaks so nicely. All the people watching the strong men around them stared blankly. They didn't expect that this Forbidden Sect disciple who only had the 4th level of soul. He speaks so freely that even people from the ancient Wang family dare to scold him. Really looking for death? Shut up! Chu Luo, you are simply looking for death. This is Wang Lin from the ancient Wang family. The ancient royal family, the grandson of the great emperor who suppresses evil. Insulting young master Wang is insulting Zhengzai great emperor. Not even your master, Dark Crow, can protect you. Zhu Yu cursed angrily. As soon as these words came out, everyone present looked at Wang Lin in shock. No one expected that Wang Lin was actually the grandson of the great emperor who suppressed evil. He. So what? Don't talk about his grandson, even if the old guy Zhengzai great emperor is here, I will still scold him. Chu Luo shrugged. You wanna die? Kill him. If something happens, the Wang family will take the responsibility. Wang Lin was furious and waved his hand. Boom. Chapter 25. Zhu Yu and Lu Chongkong trembled. Just when the two were about to take action, Chu Luo also planned to take action, and the atmosphere at the scene was extremely tense. Suddenly, a violent vibration came from the depths of the calm sea of fire. Everyone was startled and looked up one after another. I saw the red flames in the sea of fire rolling again and heading towards the burning flame cauldron. In an instant, the torrential heavenly fire sea was collected into the cauldron and disappeared. The next moment, a white figure flew out of the burning cauldron. Senior brother Dan. All the seriously injured Dan sect disciples were so excited that they exclaimed when they saw this familiar figure. Boom! Immediately afterwards, Dan Chen's aura increased rapidly. This guy is breaking through the realm. He got the inheritance of good and great emperor. The strong men present felt the aura coming from Dan Chen's body, and their expressions changed slightly. Some people are showing greed at the moment. Among them are Du Sheng, Zhao Tianyu, and Han Wujia. Hehe. Breakthrough in cultivation. Good chance. Du Sheng smiled coldly, and a spiritual sword appeared in his hand. At this time, Chu Luo also noticed Du Sheng's movements. Looking around, I found that everyone's attention was now on Dan Chenzi. Chu Luo's eyes lit up and the corner of his mouth raised a smile. He immediately gave a look to several forbidden sect disciples around him. Several junior fellow apprentices were slightly startled when they received Chu Luo's eyes. The next moment, several people understood instantly. Nod. Buzz. Forbidden secret skill, spatial displacement. Chu Luo's eyes narrowed, his figure trembled, and he disappeared in the blink of an eye. Han Wujia, who was paying attention to Dan Chenzi, suddenly noticed a familiar figure in front of him. Quickly take your eyes away from Dan Chenzi. The next moment, a harmless smile appeared in his eyes. Han Wujia's pupils shrank suddenly and his expression changed drastically. Hey hey! This time, even the great emperor can't save you. Forbidden secrets, poisonous means of disaster, boom. Chu Luo grinned and quickly stretched out a hand hidden in his sleeve. The two sides were close together, facing Han Wujia who was very close at hand. Just a handful. Between the fingers, a black light burst out instantly. Junior brother Han, be careful. At this moment Du Sheng and Zhao Tianyu also reacted instantly. When the two of them noticed Chu Luo has already taken action against Han Wujia. The two of them were horrified. They didn't know when Chu Luo appeared in front of Han Wujia. They didn't even notice it at all. What a weird movement. They didn't expect that Chu Luo would actually choose this time to launch a sneak attack. Damn it, you are really the sixth person. Immediately, the two men were filled with rage and using powerful force, besieged and killed Chu Luo. At this moment, Han Wujia had no time to react. That black light shot into his body instantly. You, what did you do to me? Han Wujia suddenly felt a sharp pain all over his body. Like thousands of moles eating bones. He clearly sensed that his vitality and spiritual power were rapidly disappearing. And his flesh and blood began to emit a strange black gas, and gradually began to rot. Han Wujia's heartbreaking voice also drew the attention of everyone present. What happened? Hiss. This Chu Luo, what kind of methods he used, so vicious. When all the strong men saw Han Wujia's flesh and blood rotting and struggling on the ground, they all took a deep breath of cold air and swallowed their saliva. Looking at Chu Luo who was retreating, his face was full of fear. Junior brother Han. Chu Luo, you are looking for death, boom. Du Sheng and Zhao Tianyu, who were attacked and killed, were furious. The two of them rushed towards Chu Luo at extremely high speed. Chu Luo jumped up and stretched out the other hand hidden in his sleeve robe. Everyone saw Chu Luo's palm glowing with deep purple light, making a sizzling sound. Chu Luo grinned and pretended to attack Du Sheng and Zhao Tianyu who were attacking them. The forbidden secret skill, the addictive purple poison palm. The expressions of Du Sheng and Zhao Tianyu who came over to attack changed drastically. Stop immediately and duck to both sides. Boom. Ah. Ah, what the hell is this, my heart hurts. Ah, kill me, I can't stand it anymore. Under the horrified eyes of everyone, I saw that Chu Luo's palm did not hit Du Sheng and Zhao Tianyu. His palm hit the dozens of Scarlet Flame Valley disciples and Lingqing sect disciples who were blocking their retreat. A purple illusory palm print exploded among the two disciples. Little bits of purple light escaped into the bodies of the two sect disciples. The two disciples fell to the ground and screamed in pain. This scene was unexpected by everyone. Chu Luo just took advantage of others' unpreparedness and launched a sneak attack. He even made some noises. What a thoughtful thought! Under the gaze of everyone, the skin of dozens of disciples from the two sects turned purple, and they gradually lost their vitality while wailing. As for the prodigy Han Wuja of Scarlet Flame Valley, he has become a piece of rotten meat at this moment. From sneak attacks on Han Wuja, to attacking in the east and west, sneak attacks on disciples of two major forces. The whole process only takes a few breaths. Good chance. Several Forbidden Sect disciples immediately stepped forward, rescued their fellow disciples who had been beaten to pieces, as well as a dozen Dan Sect disciples, and quickly evacuated the battlefield with them. At this moment, Du Sheng and Zhao Tianyu from Scarlet Flame Valley, Zhu Yu and Liu Chongkong from Lingqing Sect paid no attention to these Forbidden Sect disciples. At this moment, the four people's eyes were bloodthirsty, staring at Chu Luo who had stepped into the void, filled with endless anger. Chu Luo, you are looking for death, boom. The four great talents, Zhu Yu, Liu Chongkong, Du Sheng and Zhao Tianyu, collectively released a powerful aura. The four geniuses were holding weapons, and monstrous phenomena appeared on their bodies. Take one step forward and kill Chu Luo in the void at the same time. Zhu Yu, Liu Chongkong and Du Sheng are all at the absolute beginning level. And the remaining Zhao Tianyu also has the peak cultivation level of Divine Soul Realm. Many powerful people present were collectively shocked. They didn't expect that things would develop to this extent. So quickly, Lin Qingzong and Xiang Gu suffered heavy casualties at the hands of Chu Luo. At this time, no one present, whether they were the strong independent cultivator or the geniuses of other top forces, did not dare to underestimate Chu Luo. Otherwise, when facing Chu Luo, Han Wuja, who has turned into a pile of flesh, will end up above the void. When Chu Luo saw the four people who had joined forces to kill him, he immediately muttered to himself, "System, how much calf protection value is needed to break through the absolute beginning state?" Chu Luo plans to use the system to break through the absolute beginning realm immediately. Otherwise, with his current cultivation level, it would be difficult to face four geniuses at the same time. Needs to consume 10,000 calf protection points. Seeing that it would take 10,000 calf protection points, Chu Luo felt heartbroken. After all, protecting the calf is not easy to come by. He still needs to collect 2 million to exchange for immortality. But at this moment, he can no longer think too much. Exchange. Chu Luo muttered silently and turned his hand. There was an extra spiritual sword in his hand. Looking at the four geniuses who were about to rush in front of him, Chu Luo laughed loudly and said with great pride, "If you want to fight, then fight. Absolute beginning, break it for me, boom." Chu Luo let out a sound. An astonishing breath rose from his body to the sky. Powerful force, rolling down. The four geniuses stopped immediately and looked at Chu Luo's figure in shock. Under the perception of everyone, Chu Luo, who originally only had the cultivation level of the fourth realm of soul, broke through two small realms in a blink of an eye. Cultivation has reached the level of absolute beginning. Everyone was stunned, with shock on their faces. This Chu Luo is simply a monster, he breaks through when he says he wants to. And he still broke through two small realms in one breath. Amazing! Yun Qian, who had been watching the battle, looked at Chu Luo who had broken through to the absolute beginning state, and once again looked shocked. You know, Chu Luo just broke through from the second realm of spirit and soul to the fourth realm of spirit and soul. Ordinary people's realm has not stabilized at this time. Chu Luo broke through again. Kill him! Chu Luo, suffer death! Zhu Yu roared furiously and attacked Chu Luo with powerful force. The other three geniuses also reacted from the shock and attacked and killed. Seeing this scene, Yun Qianqian's figure moved. Take one step forward. Mr. Chu, let me help you. Buzz buzz. Brother Chu, don't be afraid, I'm here to help you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.